It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good evening, Chicago, and welcome to a very special Election Night Taco Tuesday on Chicago Corner. My name is Deep Dish Pizza enthusiast Edward Heller, and I'm joined this evening by my reverent and irreverent co-host, and the guy who usually is the captain of the ship on Friday, Jerry Vasilatos. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Ed.
How's it?
Well, here I am.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going to be a barn burner tonight, the way Warren said in the chat. Lots to talk about. The polls closed 35 minutes ago.
Yeah. I seriously doubt any of you are watching us while waiting in line to vote. But if you are, stay in line and get your vote in.
Well, I think the polls closed at 7, Ed.
Yeah, but if you were in one of those polling places, and there probably weren't too many this time, where you're waiting in line to vote, if you're still in line when it gets to 7 o'clock, they have to let you vote.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. So
Yeah.
okay. I see what you're saying. If they're there by 7 and still in line, they will still let them go through. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's unlikely you're watching us while you're waiting in line, but if
Maybe.
you are, stay in line and vote.
They could be watching us on these.
Yes. And let me see. I got a thing here that I wanted to share from Block Club Chicago. Election day trouble? Call these lawyers if you see something sketchy at the polls.
It's Chicago, of course.
Yeah. People with questions and concerns can call the independent free Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights at 866-687-8683. Yeah, I mean, this city is known for shenanigans, so you see something funny. Speaking of something funny, let's get into the, I think we'll get into the first video here, but I want to load up the second.
But before we get into anything, Ed, don't we have to prepare for tonight's coverage? Oh, wait a minute. This is almost low. I'm ready.
Oh, I'm loaded. I have the proper beverage here. It's
right. I got to get my Jack and Coke started because it's going to be fun.
It's not alcoholic, but it is definitely a city official here. I got Green River soda in an old style glass.
And to those that are concerned, specifically in my family, I don't drink all the time, but I do need on Tuesdays and Fridays to just take the edge off. Otherwise, I probably want to blow my brains out after we go through all this stuff that's happening here in Chicago. Although tonight, fingers crossed, if the right candidate emerges, will help me cut down on my drinking.
Well, I mean, that's always possible.
Yeah.
I mean, we can cross our fingers. Anyway, okay, yeah. So, I mean, Jerry made that wonderful intro, and I just threw a little interstitial thing in here that I thought we would, use sparingly and on once in a while.
30 voters are heading to the polls for Chicago's municipal election. This is a look at voters at the Loop Super Site, where it's been a record turnout already with early voters.
The mayor's race, the biggest contest on the ballot today. We're digging into the chances of a runoff and how voter turnout may impact those results. We have team coverage for you on this election day. Lugo Degree staying on top of the mayor.
I love how they didn't cut out the background noise for one of the reporters.
Surprising.
Right? Yeah.
A race and it's Sal Rizal.
But it gets better.
With a look at voter turnout, let's begin with you, Sal. Good morning.
Asal.
So wait,
Asal,
that means
it's your
we're
turn. Come
not
on,
the
Asal.
only ones. We're not the only ones who have trouble in the field with our sound.
You're on, Asal. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, good morning, guys. So we have seen a steady stream of voters here already this morning at the super site, but still a lot to look ahead to today. The Chicago Board of Elections tells us this morning 100,000 vote by mail ballots still need to be returned. And you can see video here of inside the super site. People tell us it has been a smooth and easy process as polls have been open for a few hours now. An update on early voter turnout shows another historic year for Chicago, with the highest numbers for any municipal election and the second highest for any election other than November 2020. 131,000 people have voted early, with 112,000 vote by mail ballots. They'll be counted and reflected in tonight's results. So far, there have been 213,000 vote by mail applications.
That's a lot.
What was the lie? What she said at the end there?
213,000 vote by mail applications, and so it's, I guess, maybe half of those haven't been turned in yet as of this morning. We'll see if any of the people drop those off at the boxes, because sometimes people do that. But and that's enough from that video. But let's switch over to the next one, which was roughly 1 hour later.
You know the old saying in Chicago, vote early, vote often? Well, it really happened today. Investigators learned a single voter cast 2 ballots. The election judge gave the person 2 ballots by accident. The voter submitted them both. Due to secret ballot laws, the Board of Elections has no way of finding and removing the extra one. The judge was immediately reprimanded. We're also this morning hearing of some staffing issues at a handful of polling places that are short on judges.
Okay, before he gets into the staffing issues, oops. Somebody voted twice.
Well, when we were talking about Lori Lightfoot encouraging people to vote early, vote often, I think that maybe she was talking to the inmates who claimed that they were being encouraged to cast votes too. I don't know if that's in our show notes, but did you hear that story?
I don't have that in the show notes, but
Okay.
yeah, I actually have video if we ever want to take some time to watch that.
I mean, it's in relation to the whole people casting more.
I was kidding. It was a joke. You're not supposed to vote twice, unless it was for me.
If he even voted for her to begin with.
My God. Yeah, I guess we could mention it. Yeah, there's a story. Somebody has a witness from one of the people in prison, Cook County Jail. Yeah. Who basically said that they're going around the prison asking guys if they want to register to vote and vote in the primary, like several times. Like they came around to this guy 3 times after he had already told them no, and like get to the point where he had to remind him a couple of the times. He's like, it's a federal felony to have people voting more than once, right? Or voting in an election that they in a place where they don't actually live, right?
So the Daily Mail claims it was jail guards are pressuring the inmates into illegally voting. And
so the question is, who put the jail guards up to it?
Well, the other question is, too, I thought that if you're in jail or if you're out of jail, you lose your voting rights.
I think it depends on the state, and I don't know if Illinois is one of those. I think in Illinois, if you're a resident of Chicago, at least if you were before you went to prison, I think you can vote. But I'm not. We'll have to look into that. Maybe Kathy Powers knows.
Well, let's finish the video you have up. I'm sorry to interrupt. And when we're done with that, I'll bring up the story that, of course, the Daily Mail is reporting on. I haven't seen this in any of our local papers. Ironically,
and
isn't it interesting? The Daily Mail is talking about all the lead in the water, inmates at Cook County Jail being pressured to vote, but I don't see this in the Sun-Times or the Tribune or any of our local news broadcasts.
And just so you guys are aware, if you're interested in the updates, we will be jumping over to I think WGN has the live feed here where they're going to be updating the returns as they come in. And I have a couple links in the show notes for several websites where we can also check that as well. It's still pretty early. You're not going to know who won these races for a while. And very likely the aldermanic races aren't even going to be called until late in the evening, early tomorrow. We'll be lucky if by midnight we know who's in the runoff for the mayor election.
Well, let's also, before we go with the video, Ed, we talked about this before the show, our predictions, not our wishes. I know how you want it to turn out. You know how I want it to turn out. But realistically, looking at the spread, despite who we voted for, why don't we share what our predictions are? Why don't you start?
That's a good idea. To be fair, I did watch a number of the videos we're going to watch in a little bit that did some of this analysis already, but I already kind of figured who is likely going to be. And we know that even though I don't completely trust all the polls, a lot of them had Vallis leading. So it's pretty likely that he's going to be in the runoff against one of a handful of candidates. Now, I'm hoping and thinking that Brandon Johnson will be able to get ahead of Lori and Chewy, but we really don't know until we find out who voted in those mail-in ballots. And it's looking a lot less likely for Jamal this time around because they've been reporting that there was not much of a youth vote in the early voting, and there was not much of a youth vote turning out today before 7 p.m.
It shocks me that younger people are not recognizing that there was a candidate, or at least a handful. Let's spread out to maybe 2 or 3 candidates best tuned in to their interests for the future, speaking to them as well as older Chicagoans that did not exercise their privilege to come out and vote for him or any other candidate that they felt speaks to them. But here's my thoughts. My prediction is that I don't think Lightfoot's going to make it to the runoff. I think this is what's going to happen. I think that, sadly, because the media has been propping him up, I think Vallis and Garcia are going to be the ones in the runoff. And here's why I'm predicting Garcia instead of Johnson, as much as I wish it was Johnson. This is not the election of 1986 where there was the primary with let me preface this by saying in the 1986, was it 86? When did Washington run in 86?
Was it 85?
I'm sorry, 85. In the 85 primary, there were 3 candidates. There was Jane Byrne, Richie Daley, and Washington. Byrne, to her grave, claimed that because Daley jumped into that primary, she lost that primary, which is why Epton ran, the other white candidate. My concern here is, despite the fact that all of the African-American candidates, aside from Willie Wilson, have really great progressive thinking forward ideas, I think that vote was the vote for Johnson or Green or Lightfoot, to that matter, has been spoiled by the fact that there are so many African-American candidates in the race. I fully support anybody's wish and right to want to run, but I think that the election with Byrne and Daley and Washington demonstrated, sadly, when you kind of have a racial demographic there, it's going to split the vote. And because there are so many older boomer voters out there casting their votes in early voting as well as tonight, and they normally vote from fear. And what's the big buzzword for fear is crime. That's what Vallis has been pushing and promoting. I think that Lightfoot is the lame duck. I think that Johnson's possibilities will be split by the fact that African-American voters have got several African-American candidates that reflect their concerns, along with other Chicagoans, to support. And I say all that hoping I'm wrong. But I do think that the way Vallis has been shoved down everyone's throats this past month, despite the fact he's not even from Chicago, doesn't live in Chicago, that whole scandal just like went by the wayside. People are looking past that, despite the fact that it specifically speaks to his ethics and the fact that he will use every legal loophole that he can to try to run the city of Chicago for all of his shadow donors that we were talking about in last week's broadcast. All of his donors and his PACs that don't want their identities known. These are outside business interests. And I'm telling you, if Palos Paul gets into the runoff, and if he wins, the privatization of Chicago is going to go into fucking overdrive, because those are the interests that he's serving. Not the citizens of Chicago, his donors. Because as Johnny Legalbo talked about last Friday night, whoever's got the big money behind them is going to have to serve the big money. So I cast my vote for Green. I know it's potentially a long shot, even though he did, make some waves along with Johnson. And I think that more African-American voters might also be prone to voting for Wilson because of all the giveaways he was doing. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's Johnson against, I'm sorry. I'm hoping it's Jamal Green, although I know that's a long shot, but I would hope that the runoff in a concession would be Johnson against Garcia, but I think it's going to be Garcia against Vallis. So we'll see how it all plays out. And those are the reasons I'm kind of like predicting that.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain Vallis is going to be in the runoff, and my prediction is Brandon Johnson versus Vallis. I hope I'm right. It's just like, for reasons you've said and reasons we've talked about before, the vote's been split in support of the African American community and people who would support an African American candidate, and so we have a difficulty with really predicting which way the wind's going to blow here, except based on demographics who voted and who they are likely to have voted for. And unfortunately, the only thing we know for certain is the youth vote didn't show up. Yeah. Everything else is pretty much flipping a coin, I think.
Kathy wants to bet me $100. Kathy, I'm not.
That's a dollar.
Oh, a dollar. I won't even bet a dollar. This is speculation. This is not.
We're just guessing.
I know for sure. Yeah. I'm just looking at like how things work out, and when you look at the election and how Rich Daley spoiled Burns' incumbency, I think that everybody who's running in the African American faction spoiled Lightfoot's incumbency, but the other candidates might have a harder time rising to the top based on how many African American candidates there are. I wish they could kind of coalesce with each other before an election like this. And look, how many of the candidates that we heard at the forums from the African American candidates actually supported a lot of the same stuff? So why couldn't they come together understanding mental health, right? The big issue this election. Reallocating resources, not defunding the police, but reallocating resources. They were all in alignment with that. So it's like, if you're all in alignment with that and you realize you got to take down Lightfoot, why don't you guys come together like some kind of a progressive caucus and either decide, well, Johnson's got the most money, so maybe we should support and endorse him because he's got the best shot, or Green, or whoever.
That's why I wanted co-mayors. That's kind of the idea. Yeah. It's like, you're like, look, guys, whoever's leading in the polls by X day gets to take the top of the ticket, and the rest of you can help us run it.
Yeah,
because otherwise it turns into this. Okay, we got update and we get answers from Kathy Powers because Kathy's smart.
That's right.
She says people in Cook County Jail can vote if you're not convicted.
But if you're in jail, you're convicted, though.
And she says you can vote after you've served your time too. Well,
that doesn't speak to while you're in jail, though.
If you're in jail without bail, maybe that's what she's talking about.
Now, Kathy, I want to thank you for the $1. Can you highlight her $1 super chat while I get this ready for us? There you go, Lauren, Kathy.
Yes. Hopefully it's the last time.
Yeah, I've got a nice video prepared for Friday if we can make that announcement.
Oh yeah, well I'll be happy to help with that one too, with the voiceover, Jerry. So I mean, whatever we got to do, because I mean, this only happens like in a blue moon, right? The opportunity to have an incumbent mayor not make it to the runoff.
Well, look at the turnout this time. So many people are. Yes, Kathy, there you go with that.
Yeah, if you're wondering why I'm looking over here, it's because I got my big screen TV over on the right of me here, and I've got WGN on there just in case I happen to miss something that's going on over there. I'm watching results. But speaking of results, let's get back to the videos because we kind of drove this off the rails with the conversation, but it's all good conversation and it's all about the election. So totally worth talking about on this program.
Shout out to Kit in the chat. The fate of the city does hang in the balance. Yes, Kit.
Yes, it does.
Overall, we're told vote by mail requests are the highest they've ever been for a city election, with hundreds of thousands of people voting early, both by mail and in person. CBS 2's Asal Rezai joins us from the Loop Super site with a closer look at voter turnout.
What we've heard from the Chicago Board of Elections so far this morning is an indication that a lot of people have been using that vote by mail option, and a lot of people have been voting early.
Clearly, she's too close to the news truck, and they got the engine going. That's got to be.
Happens to the best.
A steady stream of voters at the Loop Super site this morning as polls opened at 6 o'clock. Board of Elections officials tell us.
Breaking news! I just got it from the Tribune. Vallis secures his spot in the runoff.
Well, that's no shock, really. Yep.
Prediction number one came true.
Yeah, because I'm the best white candidate.
Because Bernie Epton is dead.
And Bernie Epton is dead.
That's right. That's why he secured his spot in the runoff. I wonder where constitutional conservative is to crow and brag about that.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that there's nothing to brag about. All that means is that they're going to a runoff. Yeah. And odds are
gloat is the word I was looking for. Where's constitutional conservative to come in and gloat that he made the runoff?
Now, my prediction, though, is even if Vallis makes it to the runoff, I don't think he's going to win the general. Because all those people who splintered their votes in the primary are going to consolidate against him in the general. So we got to hope that it's not somebody that we don't want to be.
Is that screen up? I'm having some buffering issues on this end.
No, it's down right now. This screen here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to finish this video up and get to the next thing here. If I can.
31,000 early votes with 112,000 vote by mail ballots. Those ballots will be counted and reflected in tonight's results. So far, there have been 213,000 vote by mail applications. We talked to some voters who stopped in to cast their ballots before heading into work.
Actually, it was super easy. Bing, bang, boom. I was surprised because I thought I needed to show my ID because I just got it renewed. Nope. Big, bang, boom. Pretty easy. It was a 3-minute process altogether.
Typically voter every year, but this one big for me this year is the mayoral election.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second. What's this guy's name?
Mike Heavener?
I found my mortal enemy, Jerry.
You know him?
No. What's his last name?
Heavener.
And what's my last name?
Mr. Heller, you found your evil twin.
Yeah, evil twin. Nothing against you, Mr. Heavener, but you are now my mortal enemy.
This year's the mayoral election, so really interested in that one.
Another historic election in Chicago with the highest numbers for any municipal election and the second highest for any election other than the November 2020 election.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that so many people in the city are becoming a part of the electoral process. 100%, go vote.
We're told as of this morning, 100,000 vote-by-mail ballots still have not been returned, and that could make a big difference in both the aldermanic races and the mayoral race. Remember, you can vote at any of the 51 early voting sites across the city, along with your specific polling location. Reporting from the Loop Super site, Asal Razai, CBS 2 News.
Okay, a thought occurs. And that thought is that the Postal Service is still garbage, and maybe some of those got lost in the mail.
That's true.
Now, I mean, I don't know how mad I need to be at the fact that they haven't fired that DeJoy jackass yet.
Yeah. Well, that's because Biden could appoint the right people at the Postal Service to get rid of him, but he isn't. So because it's the board that selects DeJoy, not Biden. But Biden selects the board. So what's going on there?
Yeah, because I thought that he had recently appointed some people to the Board of Governors at the USPS, which makes it even more infuriating that they haven't really cleaned house in the Postal Service. And it just tells me that it's a gigantic duopoly club.
Yep.
And they don't care about whether the Postal Service, which I think wasn't that guaranteed in the Constitution or something, that we're supposed to have a working Postal Service, something like that.
I'll take your word for it.
I'm fairly certain that it's in my mind, it's treason what they've done to dismantle and disrupt the Postal Service.
Yeah, it is. For a reason, for political reasons, and to privatize so that private companies can make money. If the Postal Service is a shit show, then they've got all the more reason to come in and privatize and take that away from us.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what we should call Valis: Privatization Paul.
Privatization Paul. Privatization Palos Paul. Is that too many P's?
No.
Probably destroying somebody.
You can never pee enough when you're talking about Valis.
We making P jokes on this show now, Jerry?
I'm talking about the letter P. What did you think I was talking about?
Okay, I have no idea. No clue. I'm just, but we actually do have some late breaking footage of Lightfoot begging for additional votes. This is footage that really nobody else has. So stand by. Let me see if I can get it to play.
You know I love you, baby. I wouldn't leave you. It wasn't my fault.
You miserable slug. You think you can talk your way out of this? You betrayed me.
No, I didn't. Honest. I ran out of gas. I had a flat tire. I didn't have enough money for cab fare. My tux didn't come back from the cleaners. An old friend came in from out of town. Someone stole my car. There was an earthquake. A terrible flood. Locust. It wasn't my fault, I swear to God.
Locusts. She's blaming this on locusts. I can't hear you, Jerry. Hold on. You're mute. Your mic is muted, Jerry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh, hey, we have an additional correspondent.
Yes.
Wait a
minute. When will we bring them in?
Ready. Stand by.
Okay, hang on. Are you getting to it before I am?
I don't know which one you're getting to. Let
me handle the controls. Let me handle the board. And where is it? We have a special guest tonight.
Yes!
We do?
We do.
Is she here? Or do you want me to bring her in?
Here she is.
Oh! There she is. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, Kira McCown has joined us.
I made it
from maternity leave to talk with us on this most important election day.
Yep. I got the reporting from Chicago Tribune right as I was logging on that Vallis has secured himself.
Yep, we just mentioned
in the runoff. Yeah,
just popped up in my news alerts in my email.
I mean, I guess we knew it was going to happen, but it's still disappointing, isn't it?
Because Bernie Upton is dead. I keep saying that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, so that's I was hoping to come in on a lighter note, but here we are.
Well, I was going to get into the runoffs regardless of anything, but I mean, you guys know that I have a a snowball's chance in hell of actually making it past the general, though.
Sadly, I don't know. I don't know, Ed.
Yeah, I don't know either.
One of my two predictions came true. He was going to be in the runoff. My second prediction, it's going to be a Garcia because there's so many African-American candidates splitting that vote.
Yeah, although I think the polling was saying that Brandon Johnson was in the second place, right? The last polling I saw, right? I think he was at like 18% was the poll I saw, while Paul Vallis was at 32%. And if that's the progressive vote being split, I guess there's a good chance that Johnson could still win it, assuming that he's the one that makes the runoff.
I hope so, Kira. Yeah. I really hope so. I'm looking at the example of what happened in the Democratic primary when Washington won, because Byrne had always expressed her belief that Richie Daley spoiled it for her because whites were voting for Byrne and Daley, as opposed to all the African-American residents that got behind Washington, even though it was a real tight gap there. I mean, it was a really tight squeeze as far as what did he win by, like 1 or 2 percentage points in the primary?
Was that what it was? I don't really remember that, but I also know that
it was a very narrow
was
margin.
Incredibly disappointing as a mayor anyway,
Yeah.
So I think that people just like to point the finger away from themselves. Like, yeah, no, it had nothing to do with your disappointing time as mayor. Sure, it was all because of the other white person in the race.
But I would say this too. At that time, Byrne was not a candidate that was horribly disliked. And when Daley entered that race, that's why the Republicans decided to run Epton, and all the Democratic or the quote unquote white Democrats ran to support Epton, even though he was running as a Republican. So yeah, I mean, Byrne wasn't the perfect mayor, but I do think, sadly, when so many elections can be decided on racial lines, and again, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, Johnson's a great candidate, but I guess we just got to wait and hang on by our fingernails and see what happens.
Runoff. We got to see who makes that runoff.
Yeah.
Honestly. Do we have what is the most updated numbers right now? Do we have anything like that right now?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but we will check those in a minute.
Okay, cool.
I wanted to get through some videos before we started jumping in on all the numbers.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I haven't read a story. I haven't looked at a video. I threw on makeup and I got on camera. So
well, I'm glad you're here. I mean, it looks like Jerry's stream dropped out for a minute, but I'm sure he's going to be back. So let's see. Okay, we already did the Block Club thing about if your shenanigans, call that number, so you guys can rewind and look at that if you're having issues. Okay, where are we? Sharing that video. Yes, and here's basically what we're talking about here. Is the mayoral election a race for second place? Yeah, I think it is. I think that's what it basically is, because Vallis basically has no opponents in his demographic, in my opinion. I mean, some might argue that maybe Chewy Garcia, but I don't I don't see it that way.
Well, I think it's more of a question of like how people, because I think that the big issue in this election has been crime. And I think that, I think that like we look at like, let's look at Sophia King, right? Whatever her numbers are, my guess is they would go to Vallis, because I think a lot of people are voting on like on how they think crime needs to be dealt with in the city largely. So
I would also gamble that at least half of Willie Wilson's votes would go to Vallis as well.
I would tend to agree with that as well.
Because I mean, clearly there's a racial element in choosing one versus the other, but they're almost copies of each other.
They're buddies too. I mean, we saw them at the petition drop-off. They were thick as thieves, those two.
Yeah, they're friends.
And they're Republicans masquerading as Democrats.
Pretty much, because that's kind of how you have to run here. And there's a story I have coming up a little later, which kind of explains some of that with why exactly we are having this election in February when most people do these things in like the spring. So we'll cover that in a little bit, but I wanted to get a little more background going on before we get into starting with the updates and everything. But we're basically, I guess we're just going to jump around a little tonight. And Lou did join us in the chat. I don't know if you noticed that, Jerry.
Yeah, he's here to gloat.
He's here to gloat. He's here to gloat on a primary where it really doesn't matter that he made it.
I think it does, Ed. I mean,
other than it knocks out one of the other possibilities.
Right, one of the other good possibilities based on all the fear mongering that's been happening for the past months, and suddenly he was a joke last election.
Yeah, he was.
He was a fucking joke. He's still a joke. The fact that he carpetbagged his way in here with his little, what is it, 1 bedroom in Bridgeport? It's just for all the voters who are all about, people have to follow the rules when it's immigrants. Did they get in here? Did they follow the process? This guy didn't follow he followed the process. He bent the letter of the law. Yeah. Those that would decry against I'm sorry, go ahead, Ed.
I just wanted to say I had a story in the show notes and I took it out because I didn't want to just bag on Paul Vallis all night, because Block Club just posted a story recently talking about all the reasons why you should not be voting for him.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, well, this headline's too long. I said I just shortened it for the show notes to say why Paul Vallis sucks. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to cover this story. You guys who want to read it, go to Block Club and look at their latest stories. You'll see it in there. You'll see all the valid reasons why he basically was like a terrible school superintendent, and why he had all these terrible things that he's done. And it's like, we don't want to rehash this.
And
nobody's paying attention. They just looking at his skin color and they're going, "Oh, well, he sounds good in the sound bite, so let's vote for him."
He's going to fight crime. I posted a response to the Tribune editorial on our Twitter feed at Chicago Corner. This woman, point by point, broke down and analyzed and was able to negate all of the reasons that the Tribune supported Vallis. And it's like, no, that's not right. He mismanaged all the other positions he was in. He's all for the charter schools and privatization. He's only about trying to figure out how to make his donors the most amount of money. So between Block Club Chicago and that woman's, by the way, it was funny because
Lou, I wish that Ricky Bobby was running.
Who?
I wish that Ricky Bobby was running.
Who's Ricky Bobby?
Ricky Bobby was the race car driver.
Yeah, in the movie. What's the movie called?
Talladega
Nights.
How did I remember that? Jesus Christ, I can't remember shit, you guys.
Look, Lou, you want to call it race card baiting. I call it reality. The truth is, he is the Bernie Epton of this campaign.
It's funny. I don't understand why some white people are so insecure about their whiteness that they have to call the race card, as if the fact that like being white doesn't give you all the privilege in the world with the name of the race card is like a ridiculous affirmation.
Because Lou, if race wasn't an issue, you'd be voting for Willie Wilson right now.
That's right. Oh, yes, Lou. Why didn't you vote for Willie Wilson?
That's a burn.
I don't know
man.
Lou that well. I mean, maybe he has different, smaller little issues in his campaign that are different from Paul's, but I don't know.
We said last show that you should vote for the candidate that best reflects your values. And I said after we shared that, it makes me really sad that people think Paul Vallis reflects their values. Not the platform and the fear mongering that they're talking about, and all the what do you call it? All of the fear mongering and the red meat that they're throwing out to scare people. Does he really reflect your values? Constitutional conservative. Does a candidate who was the CEO of Chicago Public Schools and ignored investigating allegations of sexual abuse against Chicago school students, does that reflect your values? Does it reflect your values that this guy came into town less than a year ago to rent an apartment in Bridgeport while he's taking the homestead exemption in Palos Heights? How does that reflect your values if you're all for law and order and following the rule of law? It doesn't. So the only reason I can imagine that people are voting for Paul is because he's very pro-police, and everybody needs a big daddy authoritarian to watch over them because they think spending more money on the cops is going to change anything when we know it's not. It hasn't. It won't.
Yeah. If the bloated police budget hasn't shifted anything yet, it's not going to start anytime soon. So
here we go. Here we go. Chicago is a crime cesspool. Yeah, it is. Why is that, Lou? Do you think it might have anything to do with the fact that we're throwing more money at the police department and we're not actually getting to the root causes of what causes crime with desperate people living in abandoned neighborhoods? Kids?
Yeah, clearly throwing more money and increasing the funding of the police department hasn't solved that problem.
Well, and we also have to remember that, crime has gone up nationwide. And so when we're pointing to Chicago's crime and the fact that crime has increased, we want to look at the broader scope of things as well.
Yeah, we're the national news is whipping boy for crime.
Right.
Story.
Well, and just watch as Chicago crime goes down. I would guess my assertion would be that nationwide crime ends up going down because that's how it works.
Okay.
So, there's a great book about
it
where he talks about that. It's very well known. It's called Freakonomics. Check it out. But those trends happen, and as we talk about crime over the last couple of years, we want to take into consideration that that's also been happening as a trend. So,
all right, getting back into the story here. Let's throw this video up here and let's see what they have to say.
To vote 2023. It is finally election day here in Chicago, and the polls have been open now for about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, and there are several races on the ballot. Most notably, of course, what everybody's talking about is that race for mayor. Political analyst Laura Washington is here to talk about that and more. Laura, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
All right, so I actually want to check out the latest poll numbers and where we are right now. So Paul Vallis at the top, Brandon Johnson.
You may recognize Laura Washington from Block Club Chicago. She did all those live streams with the candidates over there. So, and I'm sure they've got those up somewhere if you want to watch the candidates. It's kind of late to make a choice now. We're waiting for the results.
Lori Lightfoot, Jesus Chuy Garcia, and then Willie Wilson. Just in your head, does that sound about where things are right now?
Well, Paul Vallis at the top, most certainly. He, in the last several weeks, he's been running pretty much near the top. We're going to have a runoff no matter what. He's only around 27% or so. You need 50 to win outright. Then you get...
Yeah, so here he is.
Oh, wow, I thought he had a higher percentage than that. Okay.
Yeah, so if he's only got this percentage
right now, when was this
right
reported?
now, this was this morning.
So it's got to have gone up.
Yeah,
since
7
then.
hours ago. Yeah.
Oh, this is from polling though. Okay.
This is the latest polling from Victory Research.
Then you have the other three that are coming up behind him, and that looks like a race for second place. And that is so close within the margin of error of most of the polls I've seen that anyone could take that one.
So that margin of error.
Yeah, so
Johnson's pretty close too.
Yeah, so we were talking a little earlier about this, but it's nice to have the numbers up here just so you can have an idea. Look, if Vallis is going to be in the general, but who's he going to be up against? I predicted Brandon Johnson. I voted for Johnson. Jerry said he voted for Jamal, and I think did you predict Johnson as well, or did you predicted Chewy? I can't remember.
I'm predicting Chewy because my perspective is when you look at Johnson and Lightfoot there and the slight margin between them, I think that again, there are going to be a lot of African American voters that do vote for Lightfoot because she was pandering to the South and West sides, and they bought her bullshit a second time. Unfortunately, that's why I'm concerned that the African American vote might negate the two of them when you've got Garcia right after the two of them, right? You've got the two African. Again, I'm sorry to talk about racial lines here, but Garcia 15.6%, Johnson and Lightfoot. Who knows how it's going to go between who votes for Johnson and Lightfoot that might cancel both of them out, and then Garcia comes in second place to run against Vallis. That's kind of how I'm analyzing it, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm not predicting this is what I want. I'm just kind of figuring out how to balance everything.
Yeah, it's rough trying to figure out who, once some of these candidates get knocked out, who is that support going to go to?
Yeah.
For the people who voted for Lightfoot, I guess they'll just go against whoever's up against Vallis, because that's probably status quo situation for those types of voters. Whoever voted for Garcia, if Garcia doesn't make it, they would probably support Johnson. If Johnson doesn't make it, I can't imagine Lightfoot making it into the general though.
That's what Chewy was also there to help spoil, right? As another candidate that look, if Garcia hadn't gotten into the race, I wonder if African American voters and Hispanic voters. I don't know that Hispanic voters would have gotten as much behind Vallis as they might have gotten behind Johnson. So you've got that faction also to consider.
Yeah, let me pull up a tab of the latest results and see if I can.
I was going to say, do we have?
Okay, come on. Here we go.
Here in DB says there's 87% reporting right now.
All right, let me switch over. Here's the latest.
Okay, well that's
from AP via CBS News. We've only got 35% reporting, or it says 81% of votes counted. Okay. He's got 35% of the vote so far. Okay. But Brandon Johnson is in the lead.
Yeah, well, that's good
by
to see.
A pretty wide margin right now.
I'm glad I'm wrong.
For the second place slot, yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm wrong.
So, and Lightfoot doing better than I thought she would. But it's still early. I mean, we got 81% in, but they're going to probably be counting votes for the next day or so, especially since we have a whole bunch of mail-in ballots unaccounted for, and they're probably going to wait to see where those were postmarked if they didn't make it here yet, or if they were turned in.
Let's address this comment. Vallis steamrolling the field. Not after it passes the primary, Lou. Not necessarily, because you're going to have all the. I would venture to guess Hispanic and African American voters, and a lot of white voters also are going to get behind Johnson, which will hopefully kick Vallis out on his ass.
Yeah, this is basically it's a combination of pro police.
That's what I think. I think it's more. I think it's beyond racial lines, and I think it's more about the crime debate and the police debate. Personally,
you mean in this primary run? This primary right now?
I think people's choices as far as like who they're voting for.
People who lean either
is the number one issue that people are looking at.
Yeah, if you're leaning conservative, if you're scared to death of crime, you don't even want to walk out your door, and you lean toward white guys with good sound bites, you very likely voted for Paul Vallis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, doesn't necessarily mean that you're racist.
No, I mean, I wouldn't point that out at all. I honestly think it's straight up about how people think the police department should be handled and how crime should be handled. I think it's more like the idea between like your conservative thinking and, more progressive or, liberal thinking, I guess, where there's just a difference in ideology there. And certainly there could be, there is maybe a racial tendency. I know that I haven't personally spoken to a lot of people who are voting on racial lines. And I also live in Oak Park. So let's be fair. I also haven't been talking to a lot of people necessarily in Chicago. So I'm not sure that it's a racial thing so much it is an ideology thing in regards to the police.
Yeah, Kira's probably right.
So,
I mean, it's really easy to lean on the possibility that there's a lot of racists, but it can't nearly be as bad as the Bernie Epton days. But it's still an element.
Well, constitutional conservative
For some
remarks.
people, I think it will be. Yeah, absolutely. And white, black, and Hispanic all alike. I think for some people that is something that they consider. But I think in all, it is going to be more in the crime thing. And then I fear and DB says, happy to report Andre won handily. I knew he would. I didn't have any doubt about his election at all.
What do you guys want to speculate on this? I think he's right. I think she would sell out her support to him.
I would agree with that.
And I'll tell you why. Because Paul Vallis, if elected, will be, how we say Lightfoot is Rahm 2.0, only 2 inches shorter. Vallis will be Rahm 3.0, 3 inches taller. It's going to be the same status quo, pro-business.
I really enjoy
interest.
that prediction, though. So
it's still not funny. And the reason that I might lend my support to Vallis if he ends up in the runoff and I'm not there is because he's the only one who has followed me on LinkedIn so far.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap, and that's the nicest thing that I can say.
Jeez, Louise.
Oh man, it's gonna be a long night.
It is. I feel like I always wake up the day after elections feeling hungover, whether I'm drunk or not.
Okay, who's got? Oh, it's a close one in the 33rd ward.
This election is a race for second place.
It's a race for second place, and we may not even know who's in second place tonight, depending on how close the margins are, because there's going to be so many mail-in ballots that still have to be counted.
So does that mean it's a runoff to the runoff?
It's a runoff before the
runoff, the prequel to the runoff, the prequel runoff to the runoff. Wow, that is really.
Yeah,
has it ever been like this before that you can remember in recent history?
Where we didn't know the runoff the night, who was in the runoff the night before? No. One thing that might be different is that if Lori Lightfoot does not get into the runoff, that would be the first time.
That would be a first, right? An
incumbent mayor did not make the runoff.
Wow.
Which
is
speaks
that likely?
loudly.
Is that possible?
It's possible because, like I said, those three, Johnson, Garcia, and Lightfoot, are sort of in a dead heat for that second place slot.
And we do know for a fact that we are likely looking at a runoff scenario.
Absolutely. And there's not a lot of time to turn it around either. The election's April 4th, so that means whoever's in the runoff only has about 5 weeks, assuming they know who they are, to turn things around and to make that big race.
And in those 5 weeks, do you think voters change their mind?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I think what happens is that everything gets consolidated because you might have an automatic race with 6 or 7 candidates. It's down to 2 now. Yeah. So that means the supporters for the other folks are going to have to take a second look at the people at the top, and they may change their minds in terms of who maybe they like a different candidate than the one that they chose. And then you're going to see a lot of people reaching out to get some of those others. The also-rans are going to want to be brought in to endorse the people at the top, because that hopefully might bring their support along with them.
So do candidates change their campaign style, their strategy in the runoff too? So let's say we've got Vallis up against Lori Lightfoot, or Vallis and Chewy Garcia.
Yeah,
is there a recalculation about how they handle their campaigns?
I think in the mayoral race, I think the top issues are going to remain the same: public safety, crime, violence, but also education and economic development. Those are the things we've been talking about. I think what you're going to see is a lot of negative campaigning because each candidate is going to have to, but first of all, make the best case that they're the best one, but also bring the other candidate down. And there's a lot of negative material out there already from this round in terms of negative ads, in terms of a lot of position research that each candidate can jump on and augment. And they're going to want to do it early. I mean, if I were Paul Vallis, you know, the next day I'd be hitting the airwaves, beating up on whoever my opponent is. But the problem is he may not know.
Yeah. Okay, so once we actually find out, will it make a difference for the other candidates to throw their weight behind whoever the top two are? Like, do you understand?
It can make a huge difference. In 2019, if you recall, it was Lori Lightfoot and Tony Preckwinkle in the runoff.
Yeah.
And Willie Wilson came in. He came in distant, but he came, but he had a significant support in the Black community. He was heavily courted by both those candidates. He went with Lori Lightfoot. It made a difference, I think, in terms of Lori Lightfoot's victory.
So that's something that we haven't spent a lot of time talking about.
Okay.
Who's going to endorse whom?
Yeah, Kathy is concerned that you might look a little pale, and we'll have to get you a warm.
Do I look pale?
We need to get you an incandescent light to just put right.
It might be my lighting. Let's see.
Because I got this
What do you
little
think of
lamp
that?
here, and when I turn my lamp off, it's like this. But
So this is
it's
blue. This is kind of.
Oh, that's way
That's
better.
better.
Yeah,
You
that's
like
better.
that one? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll go with
We're
that
all,
one.
we all
Yeah.
look healthy now. So I have some sad news to report. Unfortunately, Bill Conway, the guy who would not attend any mayoral forums against Jim Ascott, precinct for the 34th Ward, Conway's got 67% against Jim Ascott at 32%.
What's the word number on that one?
34th.
34.
Also in the 50th Ward where I am, Silverstein handily beat Muiz, unfortunately.
Okay.
It was 69%.
Yeah, that's a shame.
30%.
All right.
We also
let's
spoke
flip over to the older people one.
Yeah,
over here.
I'm looking up Nick Ward to see how he's doing. Who's also
Why not see word numbers here? Oh, here we go. 31, 33. Yeah, Rosanna in the 33rd is in the lead with 52.9%. 83% of the votes counted, so she will likely get reelected. Yeah, well, here's Conway and Ascott. That's a shame.
Isn't it interesting? Conway, who would not go to a forum to talk with Ascott, but has the $1 billion daddy. I don't have TV to see if he ran ads.
Who is funding Conway? Do you know?
Hedge funds and his father. They're in real estate. And the
so
first ward.
literally $1 billion daddy.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah. And you know the first ward, it includes the LaSalle Street corridor. So we understand the interests that were served there with Conway.
Yeah, my alderperson Carlos ran unopposed this time around, so he's not going anywhere.
In the 46th, as Kathy asks, Angela Clay is in the lead at 36%.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Jim Gardner is at 48% again. Jesus Christ. Gardner's going to stay in unless they throw him in jail after he gets sworn in.
Oh, in the 45th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Son of a gun. I mean, he just had too many challengers.
Nick Ward only so in the 48th ward where Nick was running.
See, Gardner is basically doing a mini Vallis in his ward.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got Megan Mathias, James Sue, and Susanna Ernst, and if you add up all of their votes together into a mega candidate, they're beating him.
Yeah. Maria Hadden is ahead. Maria Hadden at 73% in the 49th, which is good.
I figured that. Her constituency is very happy with her.
It's a close one in the 48th.
Joe Dunn. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Haddon's running away with it. Yeah, sadly, Muiz not doing so well.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of shit slinging at the end there. So.
Yeah, it was. It's a lot of identity mudslinging is what it was, where she was trying to tag him with an anti-Semitism thing, which
apparently
really
worked because
even though it's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. I mean, when I worked on Andre's campaign, same thing happened. They dug up some old rap videos that he had done, and you say some questionable things sometimes in rap songs, and so
man. Dig
they
through
brought
my
that
social
up, and
dig through my social media. It's a good thing I'm not running for office.
it was a whole thing, and so I mean, and it's true, like that's the thing, and that's elections are going to get more and more, I guess, interesting is the word that's coming to me, as more and more of our candidates come from younger generations and are literally online from the time that they're teens, saying stupid shit.
The internet doesn't forget.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see as time goes on, like how much of that holds water anymore. And then I mean, I don't know, maybe I didn't look into it that deeply, but I do think that the Vallis somebody hacked my account play has just been happening.
Oh, he's so full of shit. I mean, come on. He's got the blue check. He has a blue check account. You know how hard those are to crack?
Like people have had access to my account for years.
Yeah.
Well,
People
change
look
your
past it
password,
because
I guess, but no, that was come on.
Because he's white.
Yeah, so
he gets the mulligan, the pass, and
so
all the
maybe
bullshit.
we'll just start hearing more of those excuses as more and more people get, have more of their life plastered online, right, and more of their opinions plastered online. God knows I've probably said some very questionable things with how much I've been online, and I mean, I used to get joy out of trolling, and so I can't imagine what I said in my 20s.
That's why we get along so well, Kara.
I've
been trolling Lightfoot on Twitter all week long. I've been posting the picture of her filing her nails. Every time she's telling people to come out to vote, I'll add, yes, punch one for Jamal Green in all her threads. So
they're posting the results coming in for the police council district voting. I will have to look at those later just to see. I had a list of who the FOP has endorsed that we didn't want to get into that council, because that's the easiest way to really vote for people you can actually trust to hold them accountable.
That we're supposed to be people who hold the police accountable.
It's
so crazy.
From what I'm seeing in the 24th, where I voted, the 24th district, the 3 progressive candidates did win. I think when it comes to these police council members, we're going to see more progressive candidates winning than the ones endorsed by
that are actually being backed by the police themselves, which is
I do. I mean, the 3 top ones in the 24th district where I voted were the progressive candidates that were endorsed also by Northside Democracy for America, and I'm looking at a couple of the other results and seeing that it's more progressive leaning council members. So I mean, we'll see the whole spread when they tally everything up. But I think people have had not enough oversight in the police departments. And even if they're leaning towards, we have to have a big daddy candidate, they still, are voting for police district.
I think people do think that the police need accountability, right?
I think anyone supporting the police should actually shoot for that goal, because you shouldn't just want to have some unaccountable authority figures that are supposed to be protecting you, who can basically do whatever they want. We don't want Judge Dreads running around the city. We want them, you want real protectors, or at least police who think they're protectors to actually act like it, instead of acting like oppressors. And I'm not saying all of them are like that. I'm not going to paint with that broad of a brush. But the truth is, we have way too much unaccountability and way too much abuse of power than we should have in a law enforcement or public safety division of the city.
I find this interesting also in looking at the mayoral returns so far. Okay, we know that Vallis is what is this? This is CBS I'm not looking at CBS. I'm looking at the
Okay.
Chicago Board of Elections. Let me
okay.
share what I'm reading. Vallis 35%, Johnson 20%, Lightfoot 16%, Garcia 13%, Willie Wilson 9%. Now those were the top status quo candidates everybody knew about. You know who came in after Willie Wilson? 2% Green.
Yeah.
So he did make he did make a dent. He was running against these better known, better funded candidates, and then they were also unfortunately broad stroking his youth as a liability, which it's not.
Yeah.
But I'm very proud to see that he came in after Wilson, given the heavy firepower that all the other more establishment candidates had during this race.
Well, and also getting that a lot of people vote based on like, well, if I vote for someone like Jay Mall, and I don't believe this, but it's a throwaway vote.
Yep.
Right. And
there's always going to be that perspective, and in the case of this primary system, the way it's set up is that if you have too many people running that are too similar, you're going to split those votes. It sucks. You should just be able to vote who you think the best candidate is. And sadly, we don't have ranked choice voting to make that actually work for us yet.
Yes.
So we gotta push for that. I know I've mentioned in a previous show that Cam Buckner actually put a bill on the floor in the Illinois, was it the Illinois House or Senate?
Yep.
I forget. He's a rep. It's in the House. So it's not that there isn't legislation that exists, but the thing is, you don't know if that legislation is going to make it out of the Rules Committee. So we really need to focus on what we've talked about before, ballot initiatives. And how do we accomplish that? I don't know. I guess you start with figuring out what all the ins and outs of ballot initiatives are in your state, and then figure out how to get one of those initiatives added to whatever the next ballot is, so that you can get the ball rolling downhill to enact ranked choice voting in your state or city.
Constitutional conservative clearly missed my point. Regarding establishment candidates with a lot of money and acting like Jay Mall getting 2% of the vote, to the point that Kira just made about that vote being all split up. He came in after all the big visibility candidates, Lou. So figure it out.
Yeah,
I think sometimes I think that he does that on purpose, just to
I know.
Get your goat.
I'm going to send you.
I think Jay Mall's strategy might have been a little flawed as to where he focused his efforts, because I didn't hear any radio commercials. I didn't see any TV ads.
Costs money.
And yeah, it costs money. But I mean, he could have maybe saved up to strategically place one or two good ads either before or after or during a news broadcast. Maybe he didn't have to have that tour bus.
Well, the tour bus got him around the neighborhoods.
Although it did come from, sorry, Jerry.
I'm not going to argue for or against the tour bus. That's how he got around neighborhoods. But he also had he probably had one of the most visible platforms on social media. That one snippet from the debate got over 3 million views on TikTok. Not that I count TikTok as being, anything that should make or break an election, but he was harnessing the power of social media to reach out to more young voters, which I give him a lot of credit for.
Yeah, that his game was good on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, young voters aren't the biggest voting block just right now.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Those younger voters will age, and then they will become a larger voting block.
And I just sent you in the private chat the Board of Elections link, so we have the most updated stats. If you want to get off of that Channel 2 link.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I had a link for that. I just hadn't pulled up that website yet. Okay, that's good. All right, good.
Because someone asked in the live chat if the CBS results were
there. Yeah, CBS is getting their results from the Associated Press. So it's only as accurate as Associated Press is being accurate. So we'll go with the Chicago elections official vote
.gov.
page here, and then also we did have some relatively breaking news. Well, more of a breakdown news.
Yeah.
Unintended.
Now, some of you may have heard about this. Jamal Green's tour van had got literally stuck in the mud.
I said it was a bad omen when you shared that with me the other day. I'm like, that's not a very good omen.
So, yeah, Eric Wallenius on Twitter says, yes, hi, this is the Department of Metaphors calling. Are we reaching Mr. Green?
I'm sure he has a sense of humor about it.
He did have a sense of humor about it. Though. He was really pissed at the driver, though. Yeah. Yeah. So
that's a pretty funny the Department of Metaphors. That's
Robert Lortzel, he is a writer for Chicago Magazine, and he has a whole Twitter thread on this. The whole thing happened. He's like, okay, several hours later, it's still there, and then many hours later, still there, and then finally the tow truck comes.
Oh no!
But I wonder what's going to happen to that bus after the election. Now that I don't know if he leased it or if he owns it.
Segway Batman was also taking video here. I don't know. This.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. Play
I don't know. Can we play? Should we
just
play
go
the
ahead?
sound?
Go, I don't.
All right, screw it. We're going to play the sound.
I'll appeal it.
All right. The theme from Titanic.
Oh no.
All right.
We love you, Jamal, but it is funny.
Yeah, come on, dude. I mean, if you're gonna crash and burn, this is the way to do it.
Doing it in style.
All right. So so they did finally get it out. Where the hell's it? Oh, let me see. Segway Batman has it in the thing here. I got to go back to Lortzel's thread. That's where it is. Okay. All right. So got it. Here it is. See, Lortzel went to bed because it was like they still hadn't gotten to it, and then and then he says earlier they tried pulling it from the back. Segway Batman says that didn't work either, and then it was like I don't know why these are not.
I think that this play-by-play is better than the election returns myself.
He says new Segway Batman. There's video. There's more video. He says, new strategy. I'm not yet understanding it. Rip the grass? Okay. All right. What else we got? It says it's Jamal Green bus finally got unstuck around 12:45 a.m. The bus is out. I repeat, the bus is out.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what I would love to see them do with that bus after this? Pull a Blues Brothers and run it across Daly Plaza into City Hall. That's what I want to see.
Is the front tire out?
Or into an abandoned shopping mall.
All right, they did it.
So,
wow.
But that's not over yet. There's more. And you're going to love this.
Oh my gosh.
No, what happened?
Bus is finally being towed away. There are sparks coming out as its front bumper is being dragged.
It was a nice bus.
Yeah, I hope that wasn't being leased.
Yeah, it was a nice bus. Past tense.
Oh no.
Man, okay, that bumper's gonna need some work.
Big news.
Where Pilgrim just states
Pilgrim.
Lightfoot just conceded.
Really?
Yeah, because she's only got 16%. Vallis 35, Johnson at 20.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Let's look this up and see where we can find
that.
that.
I should cut over to that.
To connect youth to mental health services, housing, education, job training, and legal service.
Hallelujah.
WTN.
Hallelujah.
This is where we need. This is.
Hallelujah.
Lori Lightfoot concede the race for Chicago mayor after her first year in term, her first term in office, and our panel has been listening to that speech as well.
This is history happening right now.
We're hoping to perhaps get that picture back of her giving that speech. But some of the things that she said, I am rooting and praying for the next
Paul
mayor of
Vallis.
Chicago.
Yeah, right?
What does that say to you
Waiting for
about
it.
when we do have this runoff election? Does she endorse someone? Does she back a Brandon Johnson, for example?
The night's young. This is brand new.
I bet she doesn't endorse anybody.
Give her a moment.
Yeah, she'll be a sore
And
loser.
I think we'll probably see her endorse somebody, but it won't be tonight. She needs some breath.
She needs a good cry.
Oh, here's some more from her. Here's some more from her in regards to her loss.
You dicks, what the fuck were you thinking? You make some kind of secret agreement with the Italians. You're out there.
Well, there you go.
Wait, I don't know how much we want to listen to them talking about this, but so yeah, this is history because this is the first time an incumbent mayor has not made it past the primary into the general election. So this is what, well, let's chalk it up. 8:48 p.m. Tuesday, February 28th, 2023.
Can you play the link I sent you in the private chat, Ed?
Damn.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah.
But wait, there's more. Hold on. I want to make sure that my...
Since you've got sound and I don't, or my browser's not consistent.
Okay.
Reliable.
Stand by, I got a pre-roll ad.
Okay.
Oh, man. Really, Jerry?
Go for it, man. I'm going to appeal every copyright strike as fair use tonight.
Okay. All right.
Let the joyous news be spread. The
Oh, geez. I wish I could spin all the way
As mayor of the Munster City, in the county of the land of Oz, I welcome you most regally. But we've got to verify it legally to see if she is morally, ethically, spiritually, physically,
Go back to your manicuring, Lori. I hope you had a nice last supper last night that you shared on social media.
Oh, she's back. Hold on.
God bless this incredible city. It's been the honor of a lifetime to be mayor. There's more work to do.
Yeah, you know where? When they run her for governor and then Congress.
The bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Follow me on LinkedIn.
So for the first time in many, many years in Chicago, the incumbent mayor does not go on to a second term. Let's bring in Taman to talk more about the reaction there, along with Paul Lisnick, guys.
Yes, indeed. Thanks very much.
Wow. Well, I came in on a little bit of a downer with Paul Vallis securing a runoff slot, but
yeah. The good news is Lori Lightfoot's out. The bad news is Vallis is at 35%. The good news and the bad news.
Yeah.
Well, but he's not at 51 though, Jerry.
No.
And that's what matters.
So maybe we will get Johnson in there.
Yeah.
We got Johnson at 20.25% right now.
I got to think too. If everybody that voted for Vallis in this primary voted for Vallis, look at all the other votes that are up for grabs that could go to Johnson then.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the point, that I was making earlier. I think that Vallis could secure basically Sophia King votes and Willie Wilson votes. I think outside of that, and I'm, broad stroking that, but I really do believe that it's people are voting more on the question of safety and crime. So, and I think that those were, so King and Wilson were more aligned with Vallis, whereas I think that a lot of the other candidates were at least, paying lip service to a more, sort of like root cause approach to resolving the crime issue.
So we've
Kathy, she conceded early because she's got other office to run for with this propping up in support of the Democratic machine is what's going to happen.
Yeah. She's got a NASCAR race to plan for. Oh wait.
Oh my God.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't. I wonder if they'll repeal the NASCAR. Unfortunately, the casino deal seems to be full steam ahead, and that's a whole privatization deal too.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what the contract says inside of a change of leadership anyway. I wonder if that's something that can be revoked.
I hope NASCAR is revoked. I don't know what they can do about
I'm not giving back the helmet, Jerry.
All right.
So here we are. We got.
I said that just so that you guys. So I'm responsible for myself. I said that my expiry was around 9 p.m. So I want to make sure that we're present to the time. The fact that I will be saying my goodbyes soon.
All right. So before Kira leaves, we're just going to update you with some numbers here. Precincts reported 1,147 out of 1,291. That's 88.85% of precincts reporting.
Yes.
So that's pretty close, almost definitive here. I think when we get into the 90%, past 90%, I think we're pretty much sure. But we've got Paul Vallis at 35%, Brandon Johnson at 20.25%. Lori just conceded, and she was at 16. And Jesus Chewy, the Stash Garcia, only has 13.75%. So I'm actually that was a little surprising to me that he wasn't a little closer to Lori's number there. So maybe people saw what we saw, that he should have stayed in Congress and not tried to have have it both ways.
So I took the percentages of Willie Wilson and Sophia King, assuming that because they're so pro-police, their votes will go to Vallis. That would put Vallis at 45.32%. I can't see anybody voting that would have voted for Green, Buckner, Sawyer, or Garcia voting for Vallis. So maybe if we stack 45.30. See, I only did the math on Vallis, which would put him at 45.32%. Let me do the math on the totals on the other ones. I mean, it's going to be more. It's just I'm trying to keep track of numbers here.
Yeah. Should we jump over to Vallis speaking, or do we care?
I don't give a
shit.
We
don't care.
Your show.
I mean, look, I'm going to leave the volume down though, because it really doesn't matter what he's saying right here. I'm just so happy that everybody who wanted to vote for me got to vote for me in this primary, where it's probably the last time you're going to see me until the general election, where I get completely wiped out by whoever the other candidate ends up being.
It says the banner down at the bottom says Paul Vallis, Brandon Johnson advanced to runoff.
Oh, well, there it is.
That sounds like a call.
Well, WGN's calling it.
Yep.
I guess we could call it. Should we call it?
Guys, this is going to be tight because I added up the percentages for who would probably cast their votes behind Johnson, and it's 38.25%.
Yeah. Yep. And I think a lot of it's going to have to be getting out the vote. right? I think that
Oh,
Brandon Johnson's campaign is going to have to really put the pedal to the metal inside of just getting the vote out, right? Because that's what's going to win it for him is getting more people to vote.
So the what do you call it? The unknown there was who that voted for Lightfoot. Where would they cast their votes? Would they cast their votes for Vallis or would they cast them for Johnson? That's the unknown. That percentage is the unknown. The 16.42% that voted for Lightfoot. I wonder if we split that in half amongst both candidates and figured out what the total might be.
Well, and I think we're splitting Willie Wilson's votes in half too, probably.
I don't know. Because of the racial issue.
Yeah, I mean that and the fact that he just gave a lot of people stuff.
Yeah,
and that's gonna sway some votes in one direction or another, but maybe not enough to go with Vallis because did he have any giveaways that we know of? No. I don't remember him doing any.
Vallis, no, I don't think so. Not that I know of.
Yeah, Sawyer, he got under 2,000 votes so far. So I don't know how influential he's going to be for anything. Sophia King got 5,500. I mean, at this point, it's just it might be. I don't.
So if we were to split the percentages between Lightfoot and Wilson, it would be a 12 point. So combined, it's 12.75% to add to the total of Johnson or Vallis. If we were to just say, well, let's take half and half between Wilson and Lightfoot, as far as who their voters right now would throw their votes behind based on racial demographics or
policy.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch. We knew it was going to happen. We knew there was going to be a runoff. So I'm feeling really grateful that it looks like it's going to be against Brandon Johnson. I think that creates a lot of excitement and hope. And so we'll see what's there.
Let's reload this sucker and see if there's any more reporting here. Come on. Reload.
And I'm going to bid you fellas adieu.
All right, Kira, I want to thank you for joining us this evening.
I'm so glad I got to pop in, y'all.
And
Jerry, thank you for, I know that I don't need an invitation, but it didn't even cross my mind that maybe I should swing in on election night and say, hey, and I was also exposed to COVID. So I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to be feeling, but I think that I might have gotten away with it.
And I think once you switch your lights over, I mean, it makes you look way better now.
Can you promote your Facebook seminar on judgment? Because I there's somebody who hopefully is still watching that I think that he ought to register and watch.
Yeah. So I am hosting a workshop. It's just an hour long at 11:30 Central Time. It's going to be by Zoom. Basically, I don't remember exactly what I named it, but it's about releasing judgment. And basically, it's called Reclaim Your Power and Let Go of Judgment. And I can go ahead and throw it here in the chat.
I don't know how you guys knew I was watching, but I think I might sign up for that.
You should. Reclaim your power. Let go of judgment, Lori. I'm probably going to be posting it as Chicago Corner here because I'm just going to post it right here through StreamYard. So here it comes.
I have something to share here too, real quick. I added up all the numbers. So if we divide if we divide Lightfoot and Wilson supporters half and half across how the percentages will stack up between Vallis and Johnson, Brandon would have 51%.
I think Brandon's got a good chance. I think Brandon's got a good chance.
It makes you. It's going to be weird because, I mean, we do have I think Kathy had mentioned that you got party politics in here too. So like it could be Team Blue supporters were split between Chewy and Lori. And so who are they going to go for? Are they just going to go for the one that's closer to their general centrism, or are they going to go with the guy who's pro-cop?
Right.
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
But again, we're guessing, we're speculating, we have opinions. You also have opinions out there. If you're out in the chat and you have an idea, what do you think? Who do you think's gonna? If it's likely going to be Vallis versus Johnson.
Yeah, that's what I'm predicting. I mean, we are now at 90.86% of the vote.
So in the chat, let us know, who do you think is more likely to come out on top in that matchup? Is it
Greetings, citizens of the internet, or whatever the hell this is. My name is Lori Lightfoot, and I have commandeered this channel to let you know that I completely disapprove of the content that is on this platform. And I hope that you agree with me, so that if you do, make sure that you are not supporting this channel by going to patreon.com/Chicago Corner. Whatever.
I love it. I love it.
All right, Kira's going to turn into a pumpkin. We got to let her go.
Yeah, I'm already turning into a pumpkin. If you look,
you are. You want to stand up and show us?
Yeah, if everybody wants to see it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm wearing kind of a loose-fitting shirt here.
There you go.
Hold on, we need solo layout for that.
I think I just look like I'm a little bit bloated.
You look like a bumblebee.
You look healthy.
If the white stripes were yellow.
Yeah, right. Look at that. Look at that abdomen. Yeah.
All right.
Extra bullets.
Good to see you. I'm glad you had some time to join us.
I'm glad too. I love you guys. I love everybody. Thank you for joining in. And I'll see you cats later.
All right. Be safe.
Bye.
Mwah. By the way, we should thank our Patreon supporters.
Yes.
And we have a new one. We added a new one.
What?
We added a new one. Johnny Lugalbo's campaign manager, Joey, I believe it's Lucasio. So we've got Joey Lucasio, Dr. Howard Ehrman, Shane Coughlin, Kathy Powers, and last but not least, Dominic Palella. Thank you, one and all.
Yes!
Dominic shares over on Patreon. He tipped $2. Thank you, Dominic. I'm going with our tradition of election results. Whoever is in the mayoral runoff, the one with the most cash from corporate investors will likely win. At least we got rid of Lori, which makes me fearful about the whole Vallis equation, but let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yes, let's keep our fingers crossed. Here we go. We got WGN who's about to tell us.
And speaking with supporters, the speed at which she came out was actually quite surprising. We got a 5-minute warning, and then all of a sudden she was on stage conceding this race. She said she called Brandon Johnson and Paul Vallis to congratulate them. She said she would be rooting for the city for years to come. And it was an historic victory for Lightfoot back in 2019. Former federal prosecutor emerging from this very crowded field of candidates to easily go on and win the runoff. At that time, she carried all 50 wards, but a lot can happen in 4 years. And so 4 years later, this story has completely changed. Tonight, as she thanked her supporters, she listed some of her accomplishments. She talked about joining with Chicagoans to beat back the pandemic. She talked about making progress on public safety. She talked about schools, making in South and West Sides. She told supporters that she believes she fought the right fights and put the city on a better path. Now, what comes next for her, that we do not know. She declined to do any further interviews or any one-on-one interviews with us.
Of course. Why would she? Oh, that's Bob Fioretti there? Wow, I'm surprised to see him over there. I didn't realize he supported her. Well, you know what changed from when she won last time, Ed? She lied to everybody. She bamboozled everybody, and that's why this happened.
Reporters in.
So there it is. Lori Lightfoot conceding. First mayor ever to not make it past the primary since they did, I think, since ever. Although this jungle primary that we have has not been around forever. And I'm going to get into that story right now. All right, so the question is, why is Chicago's mayoral election in February? And it says, reform spoiled by a clown. And this is from 2019 by Anna Kim of Chicago Tribune. Ray Wardingley. He was a guy who was, I believe it was the Children's Hospital. Which one is it? Damn, I can't remember the Children's Hospital. He was a clown for Children's Hospital, or at least that was one of his things that he did there. He was actually a pretty good guy regarding that. But because he originally, when he started running for mayor, he originally ran as Ray Wardingley, but in his clown outfit the first time around. That was basically a strategic faux pas, because then every time after that, when he wanted to start taking his campaign seriously, they would go back to the story about him being a clown. So,
how apropos, given what we've ended up seeing now every election cycle here in Chicago, with the recurring, what we like to call,
clown car,
mayoral clown car.
Yes.
And what does that mean? It means a small little car where you can squeeze in like an extraordinarily ridiculous amount of people.
Yeah,
when it shouldn't be that full.
So let me read this story, and because it meanders a little bit just because of the way that Chicago politics is. It says, as you get ready to vote on a cold Tuesday in February, you might be wondering, why does Chicago hold its mayoral election in winter? While some have speculated that political manipulation might be the reason, and there's some evidence for that, February party primaries originally were intended to make the democratic process more open, according to John Rusick of the Chicago History Museum. But when viable Republican mayoral candidates became almost unheard of in Chicago in the 1990s, the party primaries were replaced with the nonpartisan elections we have today. Reformers in the late 19th century and early 20th century wanted to hold open primary elections in February ahead of the spring mayoral elections, rather than having candidates chosen by party leaders, Rusick said. Quote, in this era, there was really a seeking of what we would call today greater transparency, to have little more daylight shine into the process, Rusick said. However, because Chicago's mayoral races since the 1930s centered so heavily on Democratic candidates without much opposition from parties, it became a de facto moment for the Democratic Party to identify the candidate who would thus become mayor, Rusick said. Well, it hasn't changed much. In the 1980s, a number of Chicago politicians voiced support for doing away with partisan primaries and going to the type of nonpartisan election we have today. But the idea didn't go anywhere. Then, in 1995, Democratic incumbent Mayor Richard M. Daley was opposed by Republican Ray Wardingley, a perennial candidate who won the February GOP primary with only 2,247 votes, and also independent candidate Roland Burris. Daley won the election with more than 350,000 votes versus more than 200,000 for Burris and fewer than 20,000 for Wardingley, who was best known for his side job as Spanky the Clown. Now, the Tribune is slightly biased by calling it his side job, but okay.
Of course.
After the election, Republican leaders in Springfield led the charge and changed the primary into a nonpartisan election over the ostensible objection of Democratic leaders who said the move was meant to give Republican candidates a better chance in Chicago. It doesn't seem to have. And this was, like I said, this was from 2019. Even today, it doesn't seem to have really given them a better chance, other than, than Vallis basically running as a Democrat, although we pretty much know he's a Republican.
Well, look, we've got the benefit here of not having the choices made in smoky back rooms, the way the Democrats, run their national primaries and admitted to as much in court. When there was a question about rigging of primaries with Sanders the first time out.
Yeah. Oh, Kit's in the live chat. Kit, I don't know if you missed the update. Lori Lightfoot conceded. She is not going to be in the general election. This is history. It's the first time this has ever happened with an incumbent mayor.
Yep. It's done.
She's gone.
She's gone. She is out. She conceded. I'm not happy about it, but I saw the writing on the wall, and I really do need to focus my attention now on my newly created LinkedIn page so I can figure out what my next grift is going to be. Thank you very much. Gotta go.
So follow Lori on LinkedIn. In fact, I think all of us should follow her on LinkedIn.
We should. Show our support for Larry Lightfoot.
So we're back to the story here about why Chicago has a February election instead of one in the spring. In 1996, a statute mandating that mayoral candidates would be chosen in a nonpartisan election went into effect, according to the Herald Washington Library librarian Mark Conrad. Russick said, people often are interested in the topic because of their mistrust of the Chicago political process. In Chicago, anything like that sort of smells like someone might have manipulated the system in order to have the result turn out the way it did. You think? We're always looking at that angle as a possible answer to the question of why, Russick said. Dick Simpson, a University of Illinois at Chicago professor and former Chicago alderman, said he thinks the February election is about voter suppression. He said, it's difficult for those who go against the political machine to gather enough volunteers to campaign door to door. It's hard for candidates to be able to campaign on L-train platforms and bus stops and other outdoor places, Simpson said. It would be much easier if the election were held later in the spring when voters could have more contact with the candidates and the candidates could get their message directly over to the voters. It's got a point. But Pamela Freeman, a commuter on the CTA Purple Line, okay, I don't know why they're talking to her, said Monday that the cold and potentially snowy weather won't dissuade her from voting. She doesn't have far to go to find her polling place. I'm spoiled because it's right across the street from me, Freeman said. Her polling place is the lobby of an apartment complex. Russick said he thinks holding elections in February was intended to improve the election process. February is a cold month and may be a little inhospitable and challenging to get people out to the polls, but I don't think it was part of a corrupt intent, he said. I think it was actually the opposite of that. People were seeking opportunities for greater political participation. Okay, well, there's that article. Now, I'm jumping over to 1995, where they're doing a story about this changeover from party primaries to municipal. It's in all caps too. I don't know if they did that back then in 1995 or if they put it in all caps intentionally on this headline. It says city politics could lose labels. Kathy Powers saying Jamal will not concede until the end. Okay, whatever, Jamal. I mean, come on, dude. Understand? I mean,
I don't know what
figure out.
Talks.
Figure out. Yeah, I mean, figure it out. And are you going to support? I don't know. All right. Should we switch over to the network? Let's see.
I was going to say, let's see if there are any updates.
Okay, we just missed Willie. I can't rewind, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should watch the concessions and comment.
Here, and somewhat of an awkward moment as he was saying that the race was too close to call. At the exact moment, the AP called the race, saying that Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson would be in the
Wilson
runoff. But
said it was too close.
No concession from Willie Wilson. He's saying there's still a chance with all of those outstanding ballots.
Oh, really? At 9.24%. I don't know how he did so well in business when he can't do simple addition calculations.
All right, I want to get back to our panel this evening. With us, as always, is WGN political reporter Tamon Bradley, Lisa Duarte, no relation to Lourdes, a partner at Croak, Fairchild, Duarte and Barris, and president of Point of Difference Strategies.
And then you've got Pat Brady over here. He's a former federal prosecutor, former chair of the Illinois GOP. He's now a political consultant and founder of Next Generation Strategies. And then next to him, you've got Hermine Hartman. She is the founder and the publisher of Indigo Magazine, and of course, WGN political analyst and host of Political Report, Paul Lisnek.
Let's mute it just for until we.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, like, I'm wondering about, we've been seeing some DMCA or DCMA wars on YouTube lately, as far as what constitutes fair use and what you can clip and show, and if it's transformative. Everything we do here is transformative. We're a news commentary show. However, every time I appeal a strike, the strike gets lifted, but it's still a pain in the ass to have to do it. So I'm just thinking, like, right now okay, go ahead. Let's see.
You think we got hit with one?
Well, probably a few tonight, but I'll appeal them.
Well, I mean, the Lollipop Guild is probably going to come after us.
Probably.
Getting us through COVID, which was a really hard time. Those are things that I think she did a really good job at, and I think over time will be recognized for. A lot of times we talk about a lot of the challenges that she went through, but I think there was a lot of things that she did put forth to try to help move the city forward in a positive way for all parts of the city. I think both candidates tomorrow, Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson, are going to really have to talk about the entire city and how we come together as a city and how we make sure that every community gets the resources it needs to really be strong and be vibrant and move forward in a positive
And Michelle
way.
Smith, I know you wanted to follow up with that, but let me just add on to that, which is, as you guys are all following the ward races as well, we'll talk about some of those. But briefly, question to you is, we're seeing certainly a lot of Democratic socialists on city council. Right. So Paul Vallis, because
like that's a bad thing?
That perhaps Brandon Johnson, maybe not.
I don't know.
How do you view the dynamics going forward under one of those mayors?
I think
it's not, but I know that he's going to paint it as such.
Checks and balances inside our city council to try to help.
Well, it's because people don't like the S word.
Toward the middle.
They're
so
afraid.
I think Vallis, if he plays his cards right, if he works with the city council and takes some of the blows and continues to work with people.
Oh, she's writing this. She's commenting as if Vallis is a shoe-in.
Which is that when you represent a progressive constituency, that means you're going to get even pushed further to the left.
That's not a problem for me.
Hard,
yeah, me neither.
This is a very hard challenge because he is identified with a certain ideology. Now what happens when reality sets in and you have to compromise, or you can't just do the thing you want to do?
And to your point, the runoff election is already underway. Paul Vallis reiterating that he was an early supporter of gay marriage and that he'll make Chicago the city that works again. And we're waiting Brandon Johnson's remarks to see if we begin to hear him with a message to the center and maybe wanting to clear up some things that are misconceptions about him. But Howard Brookins,
I'm going to have to get a new picture of Brandon Johnson, I think. This one looks like it's a few years old.
Knowing that Lori Lightfoot was deeply unpopular, Chuy Garcia appearing to be the front runner, Mayor Lightfoot taking aim at him and then pivoting to targeting Paul Vallis. But she only recently went after.
I mean, I don't know. I think our speculation and our analysis is better than these guys.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, I mean, we don't have to. I was thinking maybe we should watch coverage if there were more concession speeches, but.
Well, they did say that that Brandon is going to be speaking soon, so I'll
is he? Okay.
I'll try to keep an eye on it.
Okay,
and we'll come back to it.
I'm getting like, it's funny. I get DMs from my friends while we're doing shows. Lori Lightfoot just conceded. I'm like, we're actually doing live commentary. Does anybody ever tune in that knows that I'm hosting this show amongst my social circle?
You tell your friends and family that you host a live stream on Tuesday and Friday nights, and it goes in one ear and out the other.
My mom and dad watch. I appreciate it, even though they vehemently disagree with my presentation here when I, occasionally dip into vulgarities because I'm so outraged at what's going on. But hey, I'm honest. I don't censor myself.
Hey, look, you guys, I mean, you got webcams at home. You want to speak your piece? Contact us.
Yeah.
Maybe we can bring you on for your opinion. I mean, we're speaking our opinions. We're going from what we know and what we feel. But if you have a differing opinion from us, we'd like to hear from you.
We had a great conversation last Friday with Johnny Legalbo, who was a write-in candidate, and we didn't agree on everything, but he's a nice guy. He's well-intentioned. I don't think it was about right or wrong. It had to do with how each of us form opinions from the facts that we look over. And I thought it was a very, I enjoyed the conversation and the disagreement. That's fine. We hopefully we were able to express things to each other that maybe opened up our perception of things we hadn't thought about before. So that's what good debate should be about.
It's important to hear different perspectives because, I mean, you only know what you know from the experiences you have, but somebody else may have different experiences and you want to hear what they have to impart on a situation,
Instead of what Fox News tells you 24/7.
And look, and even if you've listened to perspective, you may still, I mean, you're not going to agree on everything. I mean, that's not the point of this. The point is to hear the different perspectives and decide, okay, well, maybe this point you've changed my mind, but on these other points, nope, I'm still of this state of mind, and it's fine because everybody can then evolve their perspectives on things, and then you can have a better understanding.
Another thing too, Ed, is because politics are so tribal, I know people that when you engage in these debates or share opinions or perspectives, they take it very personally, because if you are criticizing the party that they are affiliated with, they take it as a personal attack on them. And it blows me away that it's like, no, you can separate the two. Just because I would disagree with something that the Republican Party engages in, to a person who identifies himself as a Republican, my criticisms are not against the person. It's against the party. And if you're that tribal that you affiliate yourself in a way that it's almost like a religious dogma, there's something you might want to reconsider, because politics and that tribal mentality are what divide us instead of allow us to open our attention to like listening to what someone else has to say and understanding and asking what facts are you basing that opinion on? Because another big thing that I like to tell people is I often get shut down by other people who say nobody wants to hear my opinions because they're not true. And I'm like, well, actually, I think they are, because I'm basing my opinions on facts. I'm not creating facts from my opinions, which a lot of people do because of that tribal mentality. And, if anybody's got their ear to the ground like 24/7, it's you and me, Ed, and Kira doing this show. I'll go to like social events and talk about stuff, and, people will ask me why I feel that way, or they'll disagree with me. Then I'll bring up points that they had no clue about that are factual, that do challenge what their opinions are, because they don't know the other facts, because they're not paying attention to the news cycle all the time. Or they might just be tuned into a Fox News or an MSDNC that is all propaganda all the time for each party, which, are really not that different in the end anyway.
They have Jamal Green speaking, but I think the feed I have is a little behind.
Okay.
So I'm hoping.
Yeah, usually YouTube lag. Yeah, usually the broadcast lags from television.
Let's see. Oh crap, we're missing part of it. We'll probably play back some of these in a future issue when they have everything clipped out. Oh, sure. Ads? You're gonna roll ads on me now? Why you gotta do me like that, WGN?
Here, I've got something I want to present really quickly that's not election affiliated. Why don't you pause that until it catches up? Because I think that this is really.
We are.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
As well. At the end of the day, this is about Chicago's future and about our young people. And I want to support and lend a hand to anyone who is going to move forward the vision as properly as possible.
what direction do you think you're leading towards in terms of support, Vallis or Johnson?
I don't have any direction right now.
Oh, come on,
The direction
Jim.
is the people. So I'm
The
looking over the next
direction
few
is
days.
whoever's
I'm
going to
having
give him
conversations with
money to
both of
pay
them.
off his campaign
If
bills.
Brandon Johnson wants to have a conversation, I'm waiting on him
Could
to call.
be.
But going forward, the
That's
people
how Fioretti
are my
pivoted to
focus and young
Emmanuel.
people in our communities, and whoever can convey that
I
message
mean,
the best.
Jamal was bad-mouthing him pretty badly
What's next for me?
during
That's
the
a good
campaign,
question.
but I think he'll come around and
The
support
people all
Brandon.
over the city.
It was
know
at the
about
end of the
movement that we
campaign
built.
that he started
We have
bad-mouthing him,
name
and that's when things got
recognition,
started to get tight.
amazing vision,
Everybody was
for this
taking
city.
off the gloves at the
So who
end.
knows what's
I'm not
next? What's
condoning
next
it, but I
is
do think that
going
that's
right
just
back
what
to the
happens
communities and
at the
making
end of the
sure
campaigning when
that
you
they
get so
have the
close to
resources
election
that they
day.
need and continuing to do the work that I've always been doing. And then whatever happens after that, it happens.
And that's always been the core of your heart,
Yes.
is making an influence
Yep.
for the people that need it, that are most vulnerable.
100%. The people are in need, and we got to make sure that they have the services, and I'll be there to make sure.
All right, Jamal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome job on your campaign over the last several months.
Thank you so
And
much.
Jamal mentioned in his speech that this is just the beginning, so we will see what is next for Green. Again, we are live in the loop from Jamal Green's election party, reporting live. I'm Jewel Hillary.
Result
Back
given
to you.
that turnout number. All right, Jewel, thank you very much. Want to get to Brandon Johnson's campaign. We haven't heard from him yet this evening, but I think that is about to change right now. Let's check in with his group.
There we are.
It's Jamal's boring older brother. Congratulations, Ed. Your candidate won. I'm happy he did, or at least placed in the primary.
I had a feeling he would, but we didn't know how this was going to turn out because it was too many balls up in the air, so to speak.
He will face off against the front runner.
That's what she said.
34% of the vote tonight.
Let's listen in.
Here's a new "Let's Go, Brandon." Here's a nice way to turn that around.
It's funny.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Volume up.
You know I gotta say it. Well, here's Brandon. Well, Chicago, we did it, y'all. You know, they said that this would never happen.
It is going to be like the last election with Washington and Epton. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's the Epton-Washington election all over again.
Yeah.
Because Brandon did really come from out of nowhere the way Washington
a few
did.
months ago, they said they didn't know who I was.
Yep. Like Harold.
Well, if you didn't know, now you know. Well, there are so many people who are responsible for this moment, and I thank you all.
You're welcome.
Of course, I want to thank the author and the finisher of my faith.
Well, he'll obviously have my vote in the general. In the runoff, I mean.
Because you all know the fifth floor is going to be real saved and sanctified.
Okay.
And of course, I want to thank my family. I'm not here without them. Especially to my wife. Let me just go ahead and get this out the way. My wife of 25 years come June. Chicago, a black woman will still be in charge.
That's a good joke.
Let's just hope he doesn't continue with that line of thought from that quote I shared a couple shows back about being for sale to whoever, like Joe Biden did.
The Chicago Teachers Union, Cook County Colleges Teachers Union, the IFT, the AFT, and the baddest independent political organization, the United Working Families.
It's a pretty good coalition there.
Yeah.
There are so many elected officials.
It's going to be people versus the corporations again between Johnson and Vallis.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Workers.
Thank you so much.
It's going to be the class war is going to be on display in this election.
It's gonna. He's gonna have to get the youth vote out too.
The other candidates.
Well, Jamal could help him with that.
Congressman
I hope that they get past the differences.
Buckner, Alderwoman Sophia
Because
King,
honestly, Jamal would be a great asset to his administration. I think that they both have a lot to offer.
Alderman
Remember, he was my
John
second
Sawyer,
choice.
and to Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Now, I may not have always agreed with you all, but running for office is difficult, and it is an act of service. Let's acknowledge and give all the other candidates a round of applause. And here, if you voted for one of those other candidates, I want you to know that I'm running to be the mayor of you too. And I'm gonna work just as hard as I have to get to this point to earn your support. So I want to thank all the Chicagoans who made this happen. You went door to door. You made phone calls. Some of y'all been harassing y'all family members for months. As the next mayor of the city of Chicago, I apologize to all of the family members who received multiple text messages from your cousin, your auntie, your pastor, your grandmother. Thank you. Because what you did, you turned our hope into reality because you believe that a better Chicago is possible. But guess what we get to do now, y'all? We get to turn the page of the politics of old. Because with our voices and our votes, we've come together as one city to say that we deserve a Chicago that is better, stronger, safer for everyone. No matter where you live, no matter where you look, what you look like, you deserve to have a better, stronger, safer Chicago. Whether you live in Jefferson Park or Morgan Park, or McKinley Park or Gage Park or Humboldt Park, you deserve a better, stronger, safer Chicago. A city where you can thrive regardless of who you love or how much money you have in your bank account. A city that respects the workers who keep it running, that actually values them by building new affordable housing, blazing a pathway for home ownership. You deserve that, Chicago. A city where the trains actually run on time and where the public schools are fully resourced.
Yeah.
And that every single child in the city, they get to have their needs met.
Amen to that.
A city where young people have real year-round jobs, where we can actually solve the violent crime that exists in this city. We deserve that, Chicago. Those of us who are facing mental health crises, you deserve a social worker, a counselor, and mental health centers that are open across the city. You deserve it, Chicago. So in other words, tonight is about building a Chicago that truly invests in our people. You know, the most radical thing that we can do as a city is to love the people of Chicago. Now, some of y'all may have heard this before, but my grandfather and my father, who is here tonight, were both pastors. Now, I'm the true son of a preacher. Loving people and investing in people, that is the way that my father raised me. Because the Bible says, where your heart is, your treasure will be also. And the finances of this city belong to the people of the city. So we're going to invest in the people of the city.
Okay.
Now, I grew up in a very large family. It was 10 of us with one bathroom. Plus my parents were foster parents. We had so much going on in our home on a day-to-day basis. It felt like teaching in the Chicago public schools. But I grew up in a home where sometimes the ends did not always meet. Know what it's like to come home and the water's not on. I know what it's like to have a long orange extension cord from our window to our neighbor's window.
Wow.
I know what a disinvested community looks like because I taught in Cabrini Green, USA. And our children from Cabrini Green could see and touch and practically walk to one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the entire city of Chicago. From their back windows and out of their front windows, bulldozers staring them down, preparing to destroy their public housing. There's the essence of the city of Chicago, this tale of two cities.
I'm getting the
That's
vibes,
why
Ed.
I'm looking forward to becoming the next mayor of the city of Chicago.
Yeah. He can have his sermon tonight, but I hope he doesn't do that every time.
This tale of two cities and usher in a better.
Oh, look, it's
he's
it's certainly more
preacher.
emotional than what we're going to get. It's
Yeah.
more emotional than what we're going to get from Vallis, right?
Yeah.
Here's look. 2 out of the 3 worst candidates got knocked out of the race tonight.
Yeah, I feel good
We're
about
left
that.
with Vallis and listening to Johnson here, who I always felt was, a decent candidate next to the one I supported. I'm very optimistic about the future.
All of my
Yeah,
students.
I think this is.
many
I think this
times
is
had
good.
rough days. But there was one particular day where we were all having a rough day together. We stopped for a second to reflect. And one of my students looked me in the face and said, "Mr. Johnson, you should not be teaching here." She says, "You should be teaching at a good school."
Wow.
It's not right.
No, it isn't.
It broke my heart then, and it breaks my heart today. And I wanted to change the system. And that's why I became an organizer, fighting alongside of teachers across America. Because it's not just what we're fighting for, it's who we are fighting for. And no child under a Johnson administration will ever feel like they are not good enough to have the best. And that's why I took that fight as an organizer and I became a Cook County Commissioner. Because I believe that we need to have political leadership that actually speaks to the interests of working people. And that's why on the county board, I fought to expand healthcare. We put hundreds of millions of dollars into violence prevention.
It appears I should have listened to the Chicago Teachers Union when I had the chance to take that endorsement, but back to Congress for me.
And if we can
The
pass
stash is
a
out.
multi-billion-dollar budget on the county board, we can certainly pass a multi-billion-dollar budget when I'm the mayor of the city of Chicago.
Yeah. Well, we're trust but verify on this channel. It's like, look, he's sounding good. He seems to be saying all the right things.
Hey, whatever, man. I'm not falling for the okie doke, okay? I'm saying it's promising. Okay, we look at everything like Ed just said, okay? We got to see if he's really going to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. But it's encouraging to see the other two really bad candidates knocked out, and we're left with only
There's
one
another
bad
candidate that made it into the runoff tonight. And his name is Paul Vallis.
So
we about to get real.
Chicago Tribune headline: Lightfoot's fall from power. Love it.
Let me tell you a little bit about Paul Vallis. See, Paul Vallis is someone who is supported by the January 6th insurrectionists.
Come on, man. Don't do that.
He switched parties when President Barack Obama became the president of the United States.
Hey, am I going to get a chance to respond?
Yeah, this is not a debate, Paul.
He said that he
all right, I gotta go. I gotta go meet with my shadow donors in the Fraternal Order Police and get a plan together for the next round.
Yeah, go put ketchup on your hot dog.
Into the ground, close neighborhood schools, and punish students who were in need. He took it to another region of the earth. When he went to Hurricane Katrina, after Hurricane Katrina, Paul went to New Orleans and privatized 3/4 of the city's public schools.
Don't forget about the sexual abuse scandal he didn't investigate in CPS while he was CEO.
Black educators. He left similar messes in Philadelphia, Connecticut, and of course, right here in Chicago.
See, I didn't even have to cover that block club story. He's doing it for us.
He has literally failed everywhere he has gone.
Yep, very true.
In fact, Paul Vallis is the author of The Tale of Two Cities. He is backed by the same forces who have done nothing as crime has paralyzed our city.
That's right.
He's backed by the same supporters who have failed to enforce the consent decree,
yep,
even after Adam Toledo, Laquan McDonald were killed. The forces who are sticking their heads in the sand as our city's budgets go deeper and deeper in the red year after year, with property taxes going up while our schools stayed underfunded, those same forces are trying to reinvent the very person who's responsible for the mess that we're living in.
Wait, why is Rom up? Is that my? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I put him up there.
Oh, okay.
We cannot have this man
I thought I clicked something inadvertently. Sorry. Oh yeah, Vallis is going to be Rom 3.0 if he wins.
Can't afford it. Paul Vallis has friends who will throw everything at our
3 inches taller.
Yep,
They're gonna
that's
say
the new.
everything that
That's
they
our new
can,
tagline.
Invent lies to stop our movement. You know, they've been lying on me so bad, y'all. I wouldn't put it past them, because you know we don't have a family dog. I wouldn't put it past them that Paul Vallis makes up a lie that I kill puppies.
Don't say that. Now they got a soundbite.
And what's so messed up about Paul? Every budget that
They're going to cut it really tight. It's going to go, I kill puppies.
Person who has presented a balanced budget plan that protects the interests of workers without raising property taxes. So
Wall Street transaction tax.
They'll say we're too accountable to working people. These forces want us to feel bad because we want people to have paychecks.
Yeah, seriously.
They'll say whatever it takes, you all, because they like the city the way it is.
That sums it up. He's not perfect, but he's acceptable.
So
He's
here's
passable.
the truth. As good as it feels.
Yeah,
right
some
now,
of these points that he's making, I'm just like you say, don't go there. Don't.
We got work to do.
Go in that mud.
And we're willing to put in that work.
I understand he's got to pander in the speech. I just hope he doesn't do that the whole time. If he makes it.
Yeah, because people will twist it around on him, is what they'll do. Those on the right. And the mainstream media that endorsed Vallis here in Chicago, Tribune.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
And you know they're going to lean on that S word all the time. The socialist, not democratic socialism.
To City Hall to make sure that we give people a guarantee. No longer can we leave it to chance that our children will have quality schools, good paying jobs, and an environment that speaks to justice. We can't leave it to chance. Because I believe
God, he almost sounds like he's won the runoff.
Chicago,
I like
we
it.
can have a better Chicago. We can.
This is going to be a hell of a speech to top if he wins the runoff.
Yeah, well, he should treat it like this because the truth is, if he didn't have all those other people running in the primary, he probably would have come out ahead of ballots.
Yeah.
Not saying he would have won it
There's
outright.
one thing that I know for sure, that these challenges are not too big. Because we didn't just get here, y'all. We've been about this work.
He still doesn't have the swagger that I liked from another candidate, but I'll take it.
The challenges that are ahead of us, Chicago.
Yeah,
we can defeat this structural
I think Brandon Johnson is probably more the temperament of Harold Washington than Jamal was, though.
The times have changed, though, Ed. Times were a little bit more civil when Washington was mayor as opposed to how they are now. That's why Jamal amping stuff up doesn't bother me as much, because it's like we've talked about this. The time for civil discourse is past when civil discourse doesn't solve problems, and it's thrown in your face like a liability.
God bless you, Chicago. A better Chicago is possible.
So Brandon is better is going to be the signs and T-shirts we're going to see all over the place.
Claiming victory, making his acceptance speech as he goes on to the runoff election on April 4th, thanking his supporters through the first half of his remarks, and then going on the attack against his challenger, Paul Vallis.
All right. Thank you, WGN.
So here's the breaking news that came from the Tribune. I just love the headline. We don't have to read it, but in 4 years, Lori Lightfoot went from breakout political star to divisive mayor of a Chicago beset by pandemic and crime. Her failure to advance to a runoff election represents an astonishing fall from power 4 years after she was ushered into City Hall with a promise of reform that she didn't actually deliver on. That's what happens when you lie to the people, Lori.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Well, you won't have Lori Lightfoot to kick around anymore, jerks. Follow me on LinkedIn.
The city is no longer burning under her.
I think we do need a tribute to Lori, though. Probably
I'll have that. Yeah, we'll have that prepared for Friday. I started on it, so let's talk like between now and then and figure out how to integrate some of your input, because it was really well, I don't want to spoil it. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, should we we should probably one more time for good measure, we need to run the ad.
Yes. Or update it for future shows.
Hello, my name is Lori Lightfoot.
These are the people who are
I'm
responsible.
running my
These
city into
people
the
are
ground,
partially
I
responsible
need
for
maximum
my fall
comfort.
from power.
And that's why I wear slacks by Hagar.
Roomy roll-up slacks by Hagar. When you're comfortable in your complacency.
Yeah, maybe we'll cut in some new footage into that, Terry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean for your mic to get cut.
No, that's okay. I didn't realize. I thought that you were going to go to static still, and I didn't realize you're going to run. I didn't know that you were going to run the video. So no, what I was saying was we'll have to update our Patreon support video to reflect Lori complaining that we had something to do with her loss, since she can take.
That's true.
Herself.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Lori Lightfoot, and damn, you sons of bitches! I can't even keep the voice. Let me start over. I'm going to start over. Hello, my name is Lori Lightfoot.
And I'm not happy with these clowns. These clowns here at Chicago Corner are irrelevant. And they have sabotaged my monarchy as the queen of the city of Chicago. And I don't like it.
God damn you sons of bitches! I can't stand you bastards!
I am not happy. I have to go look for a job on LinkedIn. You know what she could do though for work? She can be a spokesperson for Hagar Slacks. I see that on her horizon. She can do endorsements for Hagar Slacks.
Well, hopefully they'll
Hagar's really roll-up slacks.
I'm hoping they'll give her a complete makeover though, because I mean, we've seen her out on the town, and occasionally, I mean, once in a blue moon, she'll actually be dressed nicely but then she gets into her what I would call mayor clothes.
My gangster mode.
It's like clown pants, kind of. I don't know. They're super wide. I'm like, why are you doing that?
All right, ladies and gentlemen of Chicago joining us tonight. Make sure, I mean, look, there, like I said earlier, I'm getting positive vibes from what's happening, but now we got to make sure to get out the vote for the election, for the runoff election. So I encourage everybody to make sure and mobilize. Where is it? I'm looking for a video that, of course, I can't find when I need it. I think we may have lost it.
Which one are you looking for?
Oh, here we go. This is what's going to happen. This is what we need to do to mobilize for the runoff.
Light your torches and go!
Revolution has begun. So get the torches and pitchforks. And if you don't want privatization, Palos Paul selling off what's left of the city to his shadow donors, or deciding to institute charter schools everywhere, you know what you got to do.
Light your torches and go!
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Yeah, I'm not even gonna pick up on the Ray Wardingley story. You guys can see the story in the show notes and read about him. But basically, you know, the Chicago Reader interviewed him in 1995 to get his perspective on the whole situation, because, you know, clearly the Chicago Tribune painted him with a really angry brush because of how he basically caused all this ruckus, or at least they're blaming him for the fact that we now have a nonpartisan primary system.
Kenneth Scalar, I resemble that remark, and I will go look into it.
Yeah, I got to watch those new Night Court episodes. I watched the reboot first episode. It wasn't too bad.
This is what we need to hear, Ed. Here, give it to us. Give it to us.
All right, hold on. No, we got to go full screen for this. Oh, I got it. You goddamn kvetching peasants! You sons of bitches, bastards! I can't believe Chicago Corner made me lose the primary.
If only we had that much influence, but I'll take it.
How dare you even insinuate that anyone support you on Patreon at patreon.com/Chicago Corner. Sons of bitches.
There's an endorsement if I ever saw one. I wish in Los Angeles, my hometown, had a Los Angeles Corner. Thank you, Kenneth. Appreciate that.
I mean, we've got friends out in Los Angeles, but I don't know if they're going to be doing, I mean, plus, would it be a corner out there? More like a cul-de-sac, probably.
LA cul-de-sac? LA, what'd that be called? LA Boulevard?
I don't know. Or do we want to do an alliterative thing where it's something else that starts with L?
LA Lane? Los Angeles?
Yeah, the Los Angeles Lane.
Los Angeles Lane, yeah.
or something like that.
Sounds
But then we gotta,
a little too snooty though. Los Angeles.
I don't know. And we'll figure it out. We'll have to pull out the dictionary and look at the L's.
I have a non-election related story I want to share really quickly here at the end of the show. I don't know how long you want to take us, but I do want to share something with everybody that I shared with you and Kira. If I may have the floor for a moment.
Go for it.
All right. Cook County announced a small business grant program last September. It was called the Grow Grant. And Tony Preckwinkle was quoted when the applications were open. Cook County small businesses faced unprecedented challenges during the pandemic, and the Source Grow Grant program is a key to helping them scale and thrive, said Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle. I'm proud that this program will provide not only the funds they need, but also the business coaching that is critical to sustainable growth. Now, since I applied for the Grow Grant, and I know Kira did for our respective businesses, I've been getting a lot of solicitations through the Cook County small business source for loans, small business loans, which have to be paid back, which kind of goes against the idea of, a lot of struggling businesses might not quite be on their feet yet and need the grants to help grow their business. Well, they were supposed to announce the results of the applications at the end of January. We all got emails telling us that we're going to find out at the end of February who got the grants. Well, guess what? They pulled the rug out from under all of us because we got the announcement. Cook County launched the Grow Grant to provide small businesses impacted by COVID with capital funding and business advising services. With the availability of additional funding for 2023, Cook County plans to announce an expanded small business grant program. As a result, Cook County has rescinded the Grow Grant effective today, which was February 27th. We apologize for the inconvenience. We will update you with additional information when available. Now, with all the solicitations I'm getting now for loans, we all know that these government programs, whether they're grant related or anything else, take months, if not up to a year, to plan, to put together with the red tape. You're going to tell me when they announced this last September that they didn't know that there were going to be more funds available in 2023? I personally think, Ed, that there is something very, very hinky going on.
Hinky? What does that mean, Vince? Hinky? Oh, strange. Weird. Well, don't you say strange or weird? I mean, hinky, that has no meaning. We say hinky. I don't want you guys using words around me that got no meaning.
Yeah, it's certainly that, Jerry. And also, it's another thing, too.
This is such a crock of shit.
Thank you, Al. You said it. Yeah, this business about they'll update us with additional information. They're not going to offer more grants. I'm going to call that right now. They made an offer. They rescinded it.
Yeah.
When I heard in January that they didn't have answers, I'm like, well, they must have gotten a lot of applications, and that's why they need the extra month. So people hung on for a month, hoping that we'd get some support for our struggling businesses, and then they pull this bullshit. So support for the small businesses in Illinois through the Cook County Grow Grant. You ought to rename it the Cook County Shrink Grant or the Cook County No Soup for You Grant, because I was actually shocked and mortified that they would have the gall to like, oh, sorry, but we'll tell you more when we have more information available. Because this concept of like more funds in 2023, they would have known that last budget period that was coming up to factor that in. And why would you cancel this if you knew more funds were available? Wouldn't you open up more applications? Wouldn't you offer a round two to like distribute more money to more businesses that need help?
Yeah. Or at least tell everybody that, okay, well, we're discontinuing the funding source for this, but we're still going to fund all of these things. And so your applications will be transferred to the new way we're doing it.
Exactly. And yeah, whatever, man, grants are free. That's the point. These are grants for small businesses that are free. Now that they've rescinded them, but I'm getting all the solicitations, as I'm sure other applicants for this grant program are getting for small business loans, of which I'm still paying back my pandemic loan. I mean, I'm appreciative that it was offered by the federal government, but that wasn't free money. That's being paid back. The grant money was to help kind of get over a hump. So to all small businesses throughout Cook County, I shared this on our Google, on our Twitter, and I was actually quite surprised to see there was no one else talking about this on social media. I don't know why. It's a big story that they pulled the rug out like this to all the small business owners that applied.
Well,
I haven't seen any mass media covering it. I haven't seen anything on social media aside from what I posted on our Chicago Corner Twitter.
And clearly it's because they're all covering elections and they don't have anybody. And so they're releasing this like they do the Friday news dumps, basically. They're like, everyone's covering the elections. No one's going to pay attention to us announcing this extremely...
On a Friday. That's right.
Yeah. It's
I mean, the website is dated February 27th, but I think the email came through on Friday or Saturday. Oh, did it? No, when did it come through? Maybe it was yesterday and my sense of time is completely off.
No, I'm not saying it necessarily came out on a Friday news dump. I'm saying this is the tactic.
The day before the election. The day before the election is when they announced this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's completely buried in the news cycle.
So there we are.
Thank you, Tony. It's a good thing you never won for mayor.
Yeah, I mean,
I was looking at pictures of Tony and Lori together. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's like they're the same person, just one has grayer hair. Well, Lori's has gotten grayer now as the past 4 years have passed, but
yeah, so is mine.
Mine. You wouldn't know it with my very talented colorist over at Mario Tricosi. And no, they're not sponsors, but I really appreciate the work that they do.
But F them because they're not paying us. Damn, I got to work on a new voice now because.
Oh no, I think Lori's going to have to join us in the future to offer her commentary and observations on what ends up happening as we go into the runoff. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess we could have her come on as a guest correspondent.
Yeah, definitely, or a guest. Yeah, malcontent, complaining about us and the fact that she's not in the runoff.
I might consider coming on as a guest analyst.
Anal cyst?
How do you pronounce that?
Yeah, I think that the best role for Lori would be to come on as an anal cyst. I think that's very appropriate for her. A guest anal cyst.
You sons of bitches.
Should we run? We got to run this one for old time's sake too. This will be retiring. This was Lori when she was out campaigning.
Oh. Is that me gold?
What the hell are you?
I'm a leprechaun, me dear.
Here, this is what you're looking for, right?
Lost my eye.
What else have we got in the? Oh, let's not forget this one when Lori and her wife were at Wiener Circle.
This how bitch. Look at Lori, how bitch. What you want? Come on, cause you better fuck her right, cause I will fuck her to death. Now I'ma have. She got a big dick, all right. What's up, Lori? What you want? What's up? You fucking me tonight? You fucking me too?
One thing's for sure, Lori got fucked tonight. Lori definitely got fucked tonight, whether she's got the biggest dick in Chicago or not.
You dicks, what the fuck were you thinking? You make some kind of secret agreement with the Italians. You're out there measuring your dicks with the Italians, seeing who's got the biggest dicks. You're out there stroking your dicks over the Columbus statue. My dick is bigger than yours and the Italians. I have the biggest dick in Chicago.
Yeah, the wieners are.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Wiener Circle is definitely a thing. If you're coming into the city and you have not been to the Wiener Circle, it's an experience. And whatever you do, don't forget to order the chocolate shake.
You're not paying for the food; you're paying for the abuse. Actually, you pay for the food, get the abuse for free. That's what Wiener Circle's motto ought to be.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to try this one more time without cracking up, hopefully. All right.
You suck! I can't do it!
Take a deep breath.
Okay, take two. Okay. I got it. All right. I'm going to count to 5.
4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
You sons of bitches! How dare you even think, you sons of bitches! How dare you even think of supporting this channel after all the grief they gave me and how they made me lose my primary? Do not, I repeat, do not go to patreon.com/Chicago Corner. You sons of bitches.
I'll tell you one thing I'm going to be very grateful to retire is closing the show on her withering glare, because every time we close the show with that as a stinger, it scares the hell out of me.
It's Jerry. I mean, on just like a little computer screen or whatever. It's scary, but I like cast the show to my big HD television one time, and that shocked the hell out of me. I have like I don't even have the biggest TV. It's like a 42-inch HD, and when that full screen Lightfoot comes up on the screen, it's terrifying.
You know, the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, they don't seem to be living till they roll over white. No, it doesn't seem to be living until she bites you and the black eyes roll over white. So there you have it. Or actually, let me punctuate that.
You're going in the box.
So there you have it.
Box in the water, sharks in the water. Farewell and adieu to you old Spanish ladies.
Well, I think I'll be able to cut down on my drinking more on the show, at least. I don't drink anyway here at home.
Well,
on the show,
or at least
about the news.
Yeah, or at least it'll be celebratory drinking.
That's true. I'll save my drinking for when Mr. Johnson wins the runoff.
Oh, speaking of Mr. Johnson, I think he's speaking right now. Let's see if I can get this thing to play.
You're being told the glare should be kept by whatever man.
You sons of bitches. You bastards with the pre-roll ad. Swear to God.
This is the only time Ed allows himself to curse. You know what, Ed? I got to tell my audience, our audience, you have no idea how many text messages I get from my mother. Why can't you be more civil and more respectful like Ed is? You know, he's always able to present his point without using vulgarities or swear words. Well, Mom, tonight was for you.
I swear I just don't do a whole lot of it on the live stream.
Except when Lori comes up.
And rebuilding it with equity.
It's like I'll turn my mic off and
I got into this race because Chicago can be
because he had donors to serve. That's why you got in the race.
Whether you're a street vendor in Little Village or a store owner on Devon Street or a kid born right here in Pilsen in the first part of Chicago that I call home. And it's because of all of these neighborhoods across Chicago that I believe in this city. And tonight, I still believe that Chicago has more of a future than ever before.
Be interesting to see who he supports.
Yeah.
Right? Because Johnson was his replacement. And I think that the fact we shared that Garcia has a lot of donors that don't want to be known, very much like Palos Paul, and has very pro-business alliances. That'll be curious to see if he even gives an endorsement. So that's where we are.
So that's where we are. So J-Mal broke 10,000. That's good. He beat Sophia King and Cam Buckner.
Yep. as the Tribune acknowledged, he does have a bright future, and I understand why he wants to run. I mean, people say we need to learn how to walk before we can run. This guy has you want to walk, there's going to be too much catching up to do. However, I would opine, if Brandon wins, and we hope that he does, Jamal is able to align himself in some way with him, and if Brandon proves to be a popular mayor to continue on into another cycle, maybe that's the period by which Jamal might serve his community really well as an alderperson, and take the opportunity when Johnson decides, he's either replaceable by the electorate or decides he doesn't want to be mayor anymore. I just think there's so much that Jamal can give the city, and I think that because his platform is in a lot of alignment with Johnson's, they could do a lot of good together.
Yeah, I think if those two can get in a room and talk about policy, I think that's going to be extremely helpful for the city.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. So, hey, y'all, I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
Okay, we got
just call me. You got my number.
Okay, I think they got Cam Buckner coming up pretty soon.
Okay. Man, this Grow Grant, I've got it still on my screen. I just can't believe the gall.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Letting people down like that.
Yeah, it's hard enough navigating those grant programs.
Oh,
I mean, they should just
forms, this, that.
I mean, fine. You want to run like a quick check, fine, but otherwise, just give people money. Just cut the damn checks and let us get on with it. We can all contribute better to the economy if everyone is in little or less debt, right? They can actually put that money back into the economy. All right, here's Cam.
Well, the pandemic loan is what helped. Go ahead.
From a little boy who grew up off of 103rd Street to his city.
He's got some good ideas too.
I ran for mayor.
Yeah.
For the people of Chicago who love Chicago, but who just want Chicago to love them back. And I meant every single word of it.
Get that ranked choice voting through, buddy.
Cam Buckner at his campaign headquarters in Washington Park at the end of a hard-fought campaign. Bittersweet emotions for the 37-year-old Buckner tonight, who didn't have the funding to compete with Mayor Lori Lightfoot and other well-financed candidates. Buckner announcing his bid to be the next Chicago mayor 10 months ago.
That's all of it right there. Well-funded candidates. Johnson pulled in a lot of donations, pulled in a lot of big war chest. That clearly Buckner didn't have, Green didn't have, and any of the other candidates didn't have. The most well-funded candidates were Lightfoot, Vallis, Garcia, which is surprising. But I think that people saw he's also kind of an absentee landlord too, jumping in as an opportunist at the last minute. Although, what did he finish? Third? No, he finished fourth after Lightfoot.
We have Chewy was only at 13.8%. So he was behind Lori.
Well, people saw through what he was doing, and that's good.
Yeah. And now I'm just hoping that Chewy will go back and fight for the state and the country to make sure that we're getting all the funding that we need. Illinois needs money. We need federal money. They need to expand and improve SNAP. They don't need to cut it. They don't need to cut it off. They need to give people money for food. How can you be against that unless you don't understand how federal spending works?
I'm sharing something in the live chat that I want everybody to click through on and share this with all of your friends before the next election. This is Diane Ravich's blog, and I was referencing this earlier. I didn't get a chance to go into it, but someone contacted me and said the lady who wrote the response to the Tribune editorial, her last name is Vasilatos, but with two S's, not one. And was she related? Not realizing the two S's indicated we're not related. But a lady named Jui Vasilatos wrote in response to the Tribune's editorial endorsing Vallis, and point by point, and this is up on our Twitter page, went through answering everyone. Look, just for example, I'll read one, okay, to show how well prepared she was in refuting what the Tribune stated. First, the Tribune editorial board highlights Vallis's expertise in city financing, policing, and public education. Her response: expertise can mean, I suppose, someone did a thing, maybe a lot, but doing it well and successfully should be inherent in the word expertise. In this case, is absurdly unsupported by facts. Cities he's worked in rapidly and left rapidly were left with complicated budget problems, vast deficits, and controversy. He was a superintendent of schools in Philadelphia for 5 years, ousted after causing ballooning budget deficits, or he resigned in order to gallop to New Orleans. You pick. New Orleans for 4, he left in order to run unsuccessfully for Cook County Board President, and Bridgeport, Connecticut for 2, ousted because he did not meet the job qualifications of being an educator, or he resigned to run unsuccessfully with Illinois gubernatorial candidate Pat Quinn. You pick. Do we see a pattern here with the sudden Bridgeport apartment rental? He's a career politician serving his financial overlords. And this article goes on to share a recap of his failure of service in every city that he's carpetbagged to. So once again, that link is there. And it's in our, well, it's not in the show notes, but it's over.
It is now.
Okay, thank you. People need to share this article before the runoff. So when anyone tells you, well, but he's going to be tough on crime, and he says things, I don't know what Brandon stands for. Read this and tell me how this. Someone made a comment in the chat. If Lightfoot was amoral, Vallis is immoral. A fucking men. When you look at his record that Julie Vasilatos compiled here in this response to the Tribune editorial, it's so well referenced that I would really recommend everybody go take a look at it and share it wherever you can if you're going to be supporting Brandon Johnson into the runoff.
Yeah. And then I can't find the article that Block Club had, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's plenty of articles you can share to tell all your family members that Vallis is really not the right choice.
But he's the lightest election. He's got the lightest skin.
Well, look, and he's the proest copyist.
I would just like to say that this next election cycle is like deja vu for me, because it does remind me of the race that I ran against Bernie Epton, that I handily and successfully was triumphant in. Very, very proud of Mr. Johnson tonight and all the candidates except for Paul Vallis, Laura Lightfoot, and the Stash Garcia. Harold out.
Thanks, Harold. It's what is it? We get it's 10:20.
Yeah,
I'd say we maybe check out in about wrap it up or check out in about 10 minutes. I don't know what else we want to talk about tonight. We pretty much covered all the good stuff.
Good show. We were looking forward to this night. Everything we've been doing for the past several months with the forum coverage and getting out to interview the candidates where we could. This was a very, very exciting cycle for our channel here to be actually in the middle of it and sharing everything we could with our viewers and commenting and analyzing it as average people do, not the polite pundits on our local mainstream news who don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers so they can keep their access up.
Yeah. Oh, another one. I don't mean to rub salt in the wound, but this is funny.
Oh, you are enjoying this, Ed, because I voted for Jamal and you voted for Brandon.
No, honestly, guys, I wanted Jamal to have a lot more support than he did. I would have voted for him, and I thought he had a chance to make it past the primary. But the truth is, I saw some warning signs where he was, like, I expect candidates to be slinging mud at each other, but some of the ways he was doing it was just rubbing me the wrong way, and I didn't know if that was rubbing other people the wrong way too.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Anyway,
I mean, so this editorial up here is okay. It's
just fun. It's Chris from Chicago on Twitter says a live look at Jamal Green refusing to concede with 2% of the vote. So just he's waving. It's kind of funny.
Touche.
But yeah, he tried to make lemons out of lemonade on social media when this happened. I'm like, yeah,
this was a bad stroke of luck the night before he ended up coming in with just 2%, unfortunately, because now we're going to be seeing this not just now, but if and when he decides to run for other office.
Yeah.
So, but who could know? It was a great idea. This was a great marketing idea. It took him neighborhood to neighborhood.
Yeah,
but,
this fucking
bus driver is going to get the stink eye and probably not get a good reference for his future driving opportunities as a bus driver.
Stuck in the mud, man. Seriously, the metaphor, it's too sweet to not cover something like that. Oh my God.
All right.
Just, but yeah, no,
it is a funny moment. I mean, look, you have to laugh at the irony of this stuff because we can't take it all that seriously.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, had he come on our show one more time, that might have put him over the top.
But you know what, Ed? He was the only one that did come on our show.
Yeah, so he does get credit for that.
Yeah, we were waiting to hear back from Sawyer. Didn't materialize. I know that Kira reached out to Johnson and actually was talking with someone at Johnson's. Look, I'm not taking it personally. I know he had bigger fish to fry although we have very important viewers, we only have, what is it now? 1,573 subscribers or something. So, I mean, I get it, but
yes, thank you, subscribers.
Yes.
We appreciate each and every one of you for
Absolutely.
tuning in when you do.
But when you're a candidate trying to reach a broad audience,
sure,
and this is not the first place they're going to stop. And I really appreciate that Jamal joined us, and I hope he joins us in the future regarding other things that are happening, commentary, and his next political pursuits or just pursuits as an activist, helping out his community, an entrepreneur.
And I think we would welcome any of the candidates who want to come on here and
I give him a lot of credit.
Be a commenter or analyst on the upcoming general election because I mean, look, we're definitely going to be covering that, and we hope that you'll come back and tune in and watch us on that. In the meantime, we hope that you enjoyed our lovely broadcast this evening.
Is that invitation going to be open to me to return as a guest commentator before the runoffs? I'm sorry, the runoff.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we could look if she wants to come on. I'm not going to say no.
That would be funny if we reached out to her. Well, look, she is looking for new gigs on LinkedIn, although I don't know that we could afford her if she's looking for paid stuff.
Now, if I could get her to come on and do the caricature voices. He's calling us sons of bitches. Oh man, that would be so great. It would be like some of you may not be old enough to remember a show that aired in the 60s and then went into syndication called Laugh-In. But former President Richard Nixon came on that show one time. And their catchphrase on that show was "sock it to me." And he came on and went, "Sock it to me?"
Sock it to me, you ungrateful sons of bitches.
Exactly.
I think I have the video that will be our final moment of Zen in memorializing the administration of Larry Lightfoot. Oh boy, what a fun show this was.
That was great. Hey, let's do the election again next week.
We'll have some follow-ups on Friday. I know there's going to be a lot happening between now and then.
Oh, and let's do a final. See, it's nice when you can repurpose a clip that previously asked about wings, and now it was used for an election.
What did you do that on After Effects?
I used Adobe Premiere Rush.
Cool.
And although it's a pain in the ass if you're trying to go from one computer to another computer with that content, if you keep it all on one, you can just keep making copies and then modify the copies. That's why I got like 7 versions of the Taco Tuesday opening. But yeah, here we are. Final results. Paul Vallis comes out with just under 34% of the vote, followed by Brandon Johnson at 20.3%, Lori Lightfoot at 16.89%, and she conceded. And then Chewy the Stash at 13.8% of the vote, followed by Willie Wilson at 9.46%.
Looks like those free gas giveaway really ended up keeping him in the top 4.
Yeah, and Jamal came in with a little bit over 2% of the vote at 10,733. Now, basically, I would say each of those candidates is probably going to lend their support to one of the two finals, and the question is who? Jamal was likely to support Brandon, even though he was really harsh during the last week with the mudslinging. But I think
it was a debate.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think the Willie Wilson supporters, he's probably going to split between the two candidates, his supporters. It just feels that's the way I'm feeling about it. I don't know. I mean, we haven't done a super deep dive of who's supporting him, but it feels like it's a combination of African Americans who liked his giveaways and people who want strong police or more support for police and to stop crime. So
he also leaned a lot on theocracy.
Yeah, conservative values. Yeah. So
religious, specifically religious values that all respect to religion. It doesn't have any place when you're running for office. There's a separation of church and state for a reason, and everybody's allowed to have their faith, but you can't inject it and use it as a way to coerce or for propaganda reasons as to why you're the candidate because God chose you. Well, does that mean you're hearing voices in your head? That's a concern.
Yeah, well, I just don't tell everybody I got voices in my head, even if one of them hangs out with a ghost cow.
That's. I'm glad you said it.
But that was it for our election coverage this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. Come back on Friday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, where Jerry will be steering the boat, captaining the helm, driving the bus, not Jamal's bus.
Mm-hmm. I will be captain of the ship. I will be taking the captain's chair on Friday night.
Oh, that's right. We didn't do it. We didn't even do the sabotage.
Guiding the good ship, Chicago Corner. Was there a sabotage story?
There was a sabotage story, although
you say sabotage. I say sabotage. What was the sabotage story?
It was just candidates basically talking about how each of them is the spoiler. Yeah.
So it was a case of sabotage.
Yeah, or sabotage.
You say sabotage. I say sabotage.
I don't remember which way I say it anymore.
I love imitating Shatner.
Yeah,
we share the same birthday. That must be why.
Oh yeah.
And to channel the acting mannerisms and inflections of William Shatner.
Oh, that explains it.
Explains.
I knew it! Oh!
You share a birthday.
I do share a birthday with the good captain of the Starship Enterprise, William James Tiberius Kirk.
Should we do? Yeah, okay, fine. Right before the show's over. I don't freaking know where the wings are.
No discovery yet, huh?
We don't have. I can't even find the court case for this. The public, because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't look into the databases that the lawyers can look into.
I have a lawyer friend. I'll check and see if she can get us any information as an inside.
She's got to look for the name Vera Liddell.
This must be a matter of national security, Ed.
I don't know
it's so hard to get information on those wings.
Because the Cook County Courts does have a public database that you can look up online for court cases, and they say it takes a few days sometimes for them to enter the data in there. But since her original court date was the 22nd, there should be something by now.
Of course,
but I can't find it.
You know what, though? The Cook County court site is notoriously
you think they're just behind?
Buggy. Yeah, no, I think they're behind. Yeah, because I look stuff up that should be in the. Yeah, it takes them a while. Look, it's not a. You would think with all the money Chicago has and Cook County has, it would be more up to par, but it's not.
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know if I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if we have any lawyer friends out there that are able to look up the Cook County court database to find out information about court cases. But if you are,
I'll follow up with my contact. I know.
Yeah. Look up defendant Vera Liddell with 2 D's and 2 L's and see if you can find her court case about basically stealing 11,000 cases of chicken wings. We want to know where the wings went.
Kathy has asked me 3 times now, how long did you spend in line voting tonight? I spent no time in line.
Yeah, me neither.
My polling place is 3 blocks away. I drove over at 6:15 and was out of there by 6:30.
Yeah, I went this morning.
No,
and,
I'm sorry. Came out at 6:15.
I went this morning, but my first mistake was putting the street address and number in Google Maps instead of the name of the place where the polling was. Because when you just put the street number in, it sent me in the wrong direction, and so I walked half a block in the wrong direction until I was like, "Wait, it's not over here." And then I'm like, "Wait, it was right across the street from me." Damn it! I wasted like 5 minutes, but then it took me 5 minutes to vote because there was nobody there, and there was like 7 things on the ballot. There was like nothing.
When I pulled into my polling place, the parking lot was probably a quarter full over at Warren Park. And that's a big parking lot. So I was like, whoa, this is a great turnout. I was worried about a line. Then I walked into the building and realized pretty much everyone that was parked in the lot was there for the basketball game. Because when I walked into my polling place, there's like 6 boxes and like 3 people that were filling things out. And I just went in, went out. It was but I'm sure, yeah, people probably went throughout the day. It should have been a turnout, but it's bigger than previous ones. So I'm grateful for that.
Yes, Kathy, that is the correct spelling for Vera Liddell.
Kathy's like a dog with a bone. She'll get to the bottom of it.
She says she probably pled out and it got buried. Who knows? I have no information beyond the original story. And WGN was investigating in it too. And I asked Ben Bradley on Twitter. He didn't even reply to me. I said, "Is there any update on the story? We have no idea what happened after the court case."
I'll check with my contact, Ed. She can check the docket for me.
Cool. Yeah, because look, I'm half joking about like wanting to get to the bottom of this, but I really do want to know.
You're not.
I want to know. I
think that's a lot of wasted chicken wings that he would have enjoyed.
It's an incomplete story. It's like a cliffhanger. You know, you're stuck at the end of a season and then the show gets canceled. And you're like,
it's true.
You can't end the story like that.
Yeah.
You left us hanging.
You know what show did that? Speaking of Chicago shows, Boss with Kelsey Grammer, which he was this corrupt mayor. Oh my God, the show got awards. They shot it here in Chicago. They had set up all this great stuff in the second season and it got canceled. I'm like, and they're even talking about maybe doing just like one final movie to wrap stuff up afterwards. Never came together. So many people were pissed off at all the stuff they set up that never got paid off. So yeah, that's what this is like. It's definitely what this is like with Chicken Wing Story.
Where we have all other people here. Yeah, Moe's only got 32% of the vote. Sadly.
So one of the stories we'll be covering on Friday, I can just share a little tease because I got it in my email from the Tribune and I want to dive more into it. The ComEd 4 bribery trial has been delayed by a week. So we'll find out what that's on Friday. I don't know yet. I haven't looked. It just came through today. That's what we'll talk about on Friday. One of the things we'll talk about on Friday.
All righty then. Well, I mean, I've thanked you guys for joining us about 7 times already, so you know.
Wait, is Ed continuing to go off on tangents here with the constant entreaties that we're ending the show? Because he keeps going to where are the chicken wings?
All right, I'm going to try one more time. You sons of bitches! Can't believe you did this to me! God, I can't believe they did this to me, those Chicago corner bastards. Don't you dare donate to their Patreon at patreon.com/Chicago Corner. Don't do it. Follow me on LinkedIn. Good night. And have a pleasant tomorrow. I don't think I will.
You goddamn kvetching peasants.
Sons of bitches.
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
Man, I remember that show.
I'm getting dizzy from lack of oxygen laughing so hard. Oh, yes, Kathy, we are. One more time. Lightfoot canceled, but her term lasted longer than her term was like Manimal.
Oh, man.
It was when a guy turned himself into animals to decide. We remember what it was. This was Lori's service was when a lesbian woman of color turned herself into a mayor to create problems. Oh.
All right, I guess we'll end the broadcast now.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
Oh, you sons of bitches.